Let's hope that that all works just fine. I have to do nothing to it. And we are set. My one of my cats might yell into the microphone, who knows? We'll see how it goes. She's been very vocal today. So it really, oh no, there she goes. It really just depends on how she's feeling. What? What? She's watching my mouse that's going on my actual screens with such intensity. It's a little silly. She's a silly little girl. She thinks she can get the mice. She thinks it's behind the screen. But it's not. She also thinks that she can get behind my monitors and that I won't notice. And I do notice. I notice all the time. Hello, Draco Kraken. How are you doing? Mab says hello. You know, it's gonna be me for a little bit here. Boo will be joining us later. But I'm just gonna let you guys know that the one really annoying thing about where I live is that getting deliveries from DoorDash takes for goddamn ever. They just sent a person to go and get my order when I ordered it at 6 p.m. I just want some pizza subs, okay? That's all I want. Is it really that hard? I don't know. I can understand, I guess, if nobody wants to come over to where I live. That's fine. But I'm hungry. Yes, I agree. I know you're not hungry. You've been eating all day. Eating for your foods and stuff. So I will say as well, I've got a new 3D printer because I decided I wanted it. Was it a smart decision? No. But is it a cool decision? Hell yeah. Uh, no, but literally my old 3D printer I could not level to save my life. And now I have one that's enclosed that auto levels. So I'm going to be able to use it a whole lot more, which is super nice because I have all this plastic filament that's just around. And I'm going to print so many minis, and I'm going to be able to use all of them for all of the miniature agnostic games. I'm so excited. And whatever else I feel like, honestly. I've played a couple of games of one-page rules with Boo and Brogan, actually, known at ones, for those of you who don't know. And they're super fun. One-page rules games are so much more fun than Warhammer games. Can I just say that right now? Don't mind the fact that I also like Warhammer still, but the game itself is slow. It's so slow. You guys have seen the streams, probably. We have many streams of Warhammer games that we did just from Tabletop Sim, and they are slow. They take hours upon hours. These games that we play of one-page rules take maybe a couple of hours. They are so much more fun. Honestly, it's just nice. Hello, Timothy. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Table Talk, Discussion, and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Greydown95, and I will be joined by Boo later on around probably 9:20, 9:15 or so. We shall see. You have caught me talking about how I like one-page rules. I'm excited to play one-page rules, and I'm going to be buying a bunch of stuff, like, for it, in terms of STL models. The other thing that I need to do still is set up my back room, my game room, into a place that I can actually paint again, because I have so much stuff that I have to get out of my house now, and my cats like to get into everything, so I haven't been able to paint anything recently, because I don't want my cats to get into it. But hopefully that will change at some point soon, and then I will be able to do painting streams again for you guys. I'm going to hopefully do a patron / table flipper / Ko-fi subscriber, whatever you want to call it, our table flippers only stream, going into Mab, those are fake dice on the screen, I promise you. Going into editing some stuff, because I have so much stuff to edit, and I would like to actually do that. So that's going to be something soon. I just got Vegas Pro 22, I think it is, because I've had 18 forever, and I'm hoping that it speeds the process up a little bit, and then I can go and render it over on the other computer. So hopefully we can have a bunch of shit coming out soon. So stay tuned for that, and if you want to see those, become a table flipper today for as little as $1 a month. There you go. That's my little spiel. Hello, Shin. Present indeed. Welcome. Is this the video that I think it is? It might be. Yes. Viridi the Tulpa representing Viridi the goddess through Viridi, the YouTube channel. There you go. Good reference. Thank you, Viridi. I understand that reference. So, today, I know I've been just speaking entirely without really pausing, but today we're going to be talking about Pointy Hat again. Pointy Hat, the guy who didn't like regular old dragons in Dungeons & Dragons, who got a fix for them to make different new dragons, different entire new dragons, to potentially fix the non-existent problem. We might as well all pack in here. Hello, Entropy. So we got new dragons to replace the old dragons because the old dragons were bad? Question mark. And we'll get a little bit more of that today because there's another video that he made for a fix for dragons. But that's the second video. The first video today we are going to be covering is how Pointy Hat sees that there is a problem with D&D gods and how to make your own. Now, it's an interesting little supposition here. Supposition, is that the right word? I'm not sure. But so what is it? The D&D gods are a pantheon that is pretty vast at this point. Depending on your what you're including, there are 3 different settings in D&D that have the Faerunian pantheon. The Dragonlance, I think, has its own pantheon. I don't know why I'm saying pantheon. It's pantheon. The Dark Sun setting doesn't... I don't remember what the pantheon is for them. What's the other one that I can't think of that is also popular? Eberron has basically the Faerunian one, right? And I think, and there's another official setting that is not Faerun and not Eberron, and I can't remember what it is, but I know there are gods from it that I have used myself. So regardless of that, there's a lot. The gods abandoned the Dark Sun setting. Athos was the name of the planet. Well, there you go. I didn't watch this one yet. You'd think I would have, all things considered. Fair enough. But regardless, God, I can't. It's not coming to me at the moment. Greyhawk? Greyhawk is one, I think, as well. Anyway, there's a lot of settings. There's a lot of gods. In current D&D, the gods are, like, there's like 12, I want to say, in 5th. I don't know if they carried them over for 5.5. But we had a few. And there's a hell of a lot more bad things. Bad gods, dark gods, I guess. Yes. Demons, demon princes, devils, archdevils, and all that. They're not technically gods, but they fulfill the same role in a sense. And I have my own custom pantheon that I made for my own D&D like setting that I came about more independently from this. But I don't think there's a problem. That being said, even though there's a lot of gods, I don't think there's a problem with those gods. I think they all represent enough of the spectrum for people to utilize them pretty efficiently without they can then create, one or two gods to fill in gaps that they think might exist or that suit their needs better, or create demigods for them, or whatever, really. Any kind of thing. Yes, map, I know. And yeah, I'm just really curious as to what the problem is going to be. So we shall see. I will be on the lookout for when Boo messages our Discord chat, and I'll get him in here as soon as I do. I want more choices than less. That is most likely why I disagree with Pointy Hat so much. Oh, excitement. Here we go.
Hello, disciples. Gods in D&D are very much a thing, and there sure are many of them. From the god of baby showers to the god of gaslighting to very much not Big J, we swear. D&D gods are a dime a dozen and they take up a ton of D&D lore. But are they actually good for the game? And more importantly, is store-bought fine, or should you make your own? I'm Antonio D'Amico, this is Pointy Hat, and we're gonna answer that question and many, many more in today's episode of D&D with a Twist. God Edition. So what I think...
Okay. Now, at least from this beginning blurb, I'm assuming that he's only going to go into, or that he seems to be going for everything. Really does seem to be, he's going for everything. Let me see something really quick, because since I do have access to my other computer, because I have left it on for a couple of reasons, I'm going to look into my D&D folder here, get my 5th edition books, PDFs, and go to, I think it's in the Dungeon Master's Guide, if I recall correctly. That's a place where all the gods are, maybe. Let's find out together. In a lovely little section I like to call, I look at something you can't see for just a second until we find what we need. Page 10, Gods of Your World? Yes, this will work. So, at least in the 5th edition book, which I'm assuming this is based off of, let me put the PDF to this. Waha! Gods of Your World. Let's get it a little bit bigger here. So we have down here for Dawn War deities. No, that's that section. Okay, this is just a. Is this Dawn War? I don't. So we have a few here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We have 20 gods that are here. Now, the Asmodeus is a god? Really? I thought he was okay. Oh yeah, I guess technically, but not really. Well, no, Asmodeus isn't a god of tyranny. What the fuck? I don't know. Anyway, so we have 20 gods to choose from here. You've got your Tiamats, you've got your Bahamuts, you've got your Corellin, apparently. I thought it was Corellin Lorethian. Did they change him? My cat is really trying to get behind my monitors. I know Pelor, I know Moradin. Moradin is more of a dwarven god that they seem to have put down to the god of creation, really. Lolth, of course. You've got Lolth. Cord. Yep. Grumsh. That's the Orcish one, if I remember. Vecna, of course, because Vecna exists. The Raven Queen. Yep. Okay. I'm just kind of going through the ones that I recognize. And 20 isn't. I mean, 20 is a lot, but then again, they're broken into both good, evil, and neutral ones. And you kind of want them to cover the spectrum for all alignments, technically, because it does matter. In this case, alignment does matter, you know? Because, I mean, if you are... I mean, to be fair, you could have an evil god be the only one of a certain domain. You could. But I think it makes sense that you would have two gods that are literally of the same domain, and then one is more of a good-leaning one is more of an evil-leaning one, and then you can obviously flavor them however you need to, right? To make it so that they fit those alignments better. So, you know, one style of trickery is not necessarily the others for Asmodeus and Avandra. Yes, I know, Map. Hello, you're getting stuck on my cords. Stop it, please. You are really, 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 really not gonna like it if you get stuck in between cords. Okay. Considering actual mythology, having a god for everything really isn't a problem. I agree. That's the thing. So, but the way that a pantheon, at least in my mind, I can think of, right, is, oh, we have our pantheon. These are the major things. Then you have minor things that are taken by, you know, one or two other lesser powers. You know, you can have spirits of the hearth. You can have spirits of travel. Like all these kinds of things that are also given homage, in order for blessings, or at least to not be fucked with during your time traveling or whatever the hell it is that you want. That way you can have, you know, it's not like the gods do the heavy lifting for a lot of stuff, but these other powers can absolutely take on those roles. So I don't know. It's like having, you know, the Fae themselves kind of taking on some of these aspects like trickery, right? They're more of that domain, and you can pray to them, and they are not technically gods, but they can fulfill the same role, and give power in that kind of respect. Maybe not as much as a god if they were to go, you know, 1v1 with a god, but who knows? Anyway.
Of gods, I think of.
I knew you would come, but you've come. I have come.
Gods are the concept, I guess, for people with delusions of grandeur and card-holding members of the Catholic Guild Association. So talking about D&D gods is hard because there's 3,000 of these, and let's make one thing clear, I'm not gonna talk about all of them. This video cannot be 70 hours long. I checked, actually, and YouTube would most likely snipe me out of existence as a warning and make it look like it was an accident. So let's cover the basics. In the beauty pageant that is D&D heaven, gods are divided along the ranking of powers. Think of this as a tier list because that is is exactly what it is. They are lesser deities, the lower of the actual, honest-to-God, deities. How do I make this information
What is happening? I like, he just said a bunch of things, and now I've realized that I didn't... Okay. If we're going by this, we have our greater, lesser, and quasi-deities that we can use. But you can also use other religious systems. You can have your loose pantheons, your tight pantheons. You can have animism, dualism. Like, this game does really give you all of the tools to make it however you want it to be. So I'm very, very confused as to what is going on. Because even, like, 20 gods isn't a lot to worry about, but it could be, if you want. And you can obviously call as many or as little as you want, in whatever way. But I don't understand the comparison of, like, gods of D&D to the Catholic Christian god? Or what the joke was that he was going for? I'm very confused. If somebody can explain humor to me, that would be great. You just want to stuff everything into two bodies, if I remember correctly, and it's boring. Oh, that's exciting. The only gods that matter are the gods that you or your party interact with. No need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I agree. That's the thing. Your gods will interact as much or as little as you deem necessary. In my personal gods pantheon, they were all big old things. They were part of the development of sapient races. They were on the same plane as them, you know, interacting with everything with them and guiding them. And then when big bad thing happened that made it so that they needed to make sure the big bad thing stopped happening, they then became a little more distant. They're still interacting, but not, like, directly, you know? Because they have to focus their energies for other things. But that doesn't mean that they are, you know, not present. It's just that they have more to do, you know? So I don't know what the fuck we're doing here, you know? But I also agree, like, if you don't need to keep track of every single goddamn thing that all of the gods are doing, you know? Because not all of that is going to matter for your game. You could make it so, but man, that's a lot to keep up with.
Digestible to brain-rotted viewers. Lesser deities have no Gyat, Elriz, and get mogged by Sigma intermediate and greater gods. Skibbity. If that was somehow not clear to you, lesser deities are at the bottom of the ranking of powers, but you know, they're still gods, so they can still snap someone's neck if they look at them for too long. D&D gods work by Tinkerbell rules, which means they are more powerful the more people worship them, and lesser deities have followers in the thousands, but no more than that. They tend to serve other cooler gods, like the divine beta orbiters of heaven to the holier Stacies and Chads of the divine realms. A lesser god, for example, is Milil, which is condemned to lesser godhood forever due to his silly little name. He is the god of poetry and song, reigning over the SoundCloud divine realm and looking over Listen to My Mixtape rappers and impossibly talented musicians that were gone too soon.
So, what does he have to do with anything, is my question to you. Why is he... Are we going on the Dungeons and Dragons Wikia and just looking at all the gods? Is that what we're doing here? Because again, sure, you can include Milil in your game, or in your world itself, if you really, really, really want to. Absolutely you can. Nothing wrong with that. But why did you, is my question. If you want to go through the Wikia, where it has all of this information and where you found all of these gods, and you want to pick out the ones that that work for your world and just flesh them out for your world specifically, absolutely, there you go. That's a great way to do it. But what is the point of doing that for your video when even in the 5e game, in the other games themselves too, they don't tell you, oh, all of these gods, every single one that's ever been made for D&D is in this setting. Hell, it's, again, Faerunian gods are usually the gods in a setting in the books, because it's usually Faerunian terminology and everything that they're going for, depending on, you know, all of the core books and a lot of the supplemental books. But if you get a supplemental book that is about something like Ravenloft, I'll always bring it back there. They literally say, oh yeah, all the gods have a connection that can go through, but there's also these dark powers that make it so that they sever the connection a bit, and they make it a little harder for you to communicate with your gods. Like, they let you, but there's also that little intermediary speed bump that they're like, I don't know about that sometimes, you know? And that's just adding that little thing. And then you go over to, I don't know, a Greyhawk setting, and it talks about its gods instead. When I was younger and I had my my past games that I made, you know, some stuff for, I took a bunch of gods from both the Faerun stuff and the Greyhawk stuff and all these other things, and I went, okay, they're all here. Let's see how this works. Did I keep track of them all? No. I kept track of what mattered to each character. Because if they had their own god that they were following, then it was like, oh, okay, this is the guy, you know? This is the one who you can talk to if you want to really try. Absolutely. You can talk to everybody else. They're all there. You can look into them. But, like, these are the ones, you know? I personally want my... right, I am too old for this video as well, Draco Kraken. I personally want my deities to be their own people, not one person with a bunch of name tags on their shirt. That's fair. Really hides all the name tags. Fair enough. Okay.
Immediate gods, which is somehow a less cool name than lesser, are mid. Mid gods are of mid power and mid follower count in the Divine Cloud game. They have more power and more worshippers than lesser gods and less than greater gods. Duh. A lot of these guys end up being quite popular because they have enough power to feel cool, but not too much power so that they feel way too removed from anything that actually matters to the game.
Apparently Bahamut is part of that, because that was Bahamut from Final Fantasy, so... okay.
Intermediate tier, you get gods like Underwater Girl Boss Evil Mermaid Queen Umberlee, or, you know, D&D Jesus. That's right, in this game he only
I know Ilmater. I remember looking into Ilmater.
gets up to intermediate, somehow. Moving on to the top of the food chain.
Oh, okay, we're just... see... okay. No, you know... I can't just keep asking what's the point, because he's just talking about levels, which, again, it seems like it isn't strictly set as what it is for every D&D game, but okay, yeah.
I don't like that implies they eat each other. We have greater deities. These are the big boys, the impossibly powerful guys whose scale is literally impossible to comprehend for puny mortal minds. They have millions of followers and are literally above everything. They are the stars of the show.
This is a place for legends.
Asmodeus, Chauntea, Lathander, Lolth, Evil God Saber. Even if you're only barely familiar with D&D gods, you have probably heard of some of these. They are the big boys. So that was a lot, huh? Glad we're done. We can now move on to... No! Of course not. We needed more gods, you see. The more gods, the better the game. It's better when there's a lot of them.
Whoa, 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 whoa! What are we doing? What's the point? Why are we... like, again, you go on fucking the Wikia, yeah, there's a shit ton of gods. Because we've had so much that were added from lots of different source books and all this kind of stuff. Like, I could go pull deities and demigods, because it's right over in my shelf, right over here to my left. And you know what? I will. It's from 3rd edition. I'm gonna get that really quick. Hang on. This is a whole supplement that was literally made to give you a book on the deities and the demigods that you can utilize in your games. From 3.5, deities and demigods. Let's see. Oh. Huh. Let me just read you, let me read you the literal introduction of this book. This is on page 4 of Deities and Demigods for 3.5. Deities, spiritual beings embodying the loftiest and basest principles of morality, ethics, and every aspect of mortal existence, or just some really powerful monsters? The answer to that basic question, like so many other questions in the Dungeons & Dragons game, is up to you, and the answer you decide on will have a lot to do with how you use this book. There is no right answer beyond what's right for your campaign, your players, and your game. If you're really interested in whether Heronius can defeat Thor in battle, we've given you a set of rules and statistics in this book that can help you answer that question. Early playtest reports say, not bloody likely. On the other hand, if you want help creating a vibrant, realistic pantheon for your campaign, a set of deities that help shape the course of events in adventures of epic scope, deities who inspire the clerics, druids, paladins, and other characters in your game to the greatest heights of heroism and the lowest depths of villainy, well, we've given you the tools for that as well. And then further on, we have deities and demigods in here. Right under the introduction says, this book can help you decide what role deities can play in your campaign, from their philosophies to their armor class. The whole point of this, we have what is a deity? Deities defined. Deities in your game, Chapter 1, sorry. Chapter 2 is deities defined. Chapter 3 is the D&D Pantheon. Chapter 4 is the Olympian Pantheon, Chapter 5 is the Pharaonic Pantheon, Chapter 6 the Asgardian Pantheon, and Chapter 7 is other religions. We've got domains and spells, divine ascensions. What we'll do is go to Chapter 3, which is on page... I'm sorry I don't have this so that I can pull up for you, but I believe in your ability to find this somehow. Chapter 3 starts on page 57. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We have 23 gods in this book. Let me get Boo on the horn. Hang on. Hello.
Hello.
I am currently looking at the book Deities and Demigods from 3rd edition. And I'm only 3 minutes and 15 seconds into this 34-minute video.
Oh, God.
So I want you to just know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
So far, his first and only claim right now is there are shit tons of gods in D&D.
Yes, there are.
Which I agree, but you don't use literally all of them.
Yeah.
That's not what anyone does. In fact, they only really use the major ones.
God fucking damn it.
And he went into what lesser and minor and major deities, greater deities are. Mm-hmm. And that's where we're at. And I'm really wondering why he's bringing up all these minor things when, again, it's literally just he went onto, at least it feels like, he went onto the D&D Wikia and just went, oh, look, there's a shit ton of these guys. They're from all of these different resources that I'm not going to worry about. There are just so many D&D gods.
And I'm so fucking mad that the video, first off, his only take is there's too many.
So far, yeah.
His title is The Problem with D&D Gods,
yeah.
Which the problem is there are too many.
So far.
And how to make your own.
Right, exactly.
God, I hate this guy.
Well, so it's literally just so there's no problem with making your own. That's fine.
No.
In the sense of replacing however much you need. That's fine.
That's not my issue. My issue is the fact that he doesn't like that there's too many gods, and so he's telling you to make more.
Well, no,
It's the same thing as dragons.
Yes, what he's trying to do is tell you to replace them with these, whatever he's going to do, right?
I guess.
That's
but
literally
God.
what he did for the dragons one, so you can assume that it's going to be the same.
No.
Because, again, if he doesn't like it, he just wants to throw it out, make his own thing. Which, again, that's perfectly fine. But to say that there is a problem because of the amount of gods there are, it's like, again, how? Are you literally keeping track of the thousands from every supplement that's ever existed? Are you actually doing that? No, you're not. You're lying to me if you say you are. You know?
You want to know something funny?
Uh.
We played a game,
Mm-hmm.
and in that game, you guys lived in an area that was literally the home of every single evil god that's ever come into existence, and that's an infinite area of that city. And I didn't use any.
Yeah.
I used none.
Exactly.
I used a single god.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Again,
in an area where there's supposed to be gods everywhere. Literally.
It doesn't...
Your next door neighbor is a fucking god.
Exactly.
He's a minor god.
But, like, it doesn't...
God.
Like, they don't matter unless you make them matter in your game. That's just how it is. And I was reading from that book. It literally, even in that 3.5 book, was like, you can do whatever the fuck you want and use them however you want. Basically. And it's just like, well, yeah. Oh, no shit. Oh, cool.
Just like everything else.
Just
in
like
D&D.
literally
You don't
everything
fucking
else.
Say.
That's crazy. So yeah, I just don't know why he's pointing out this. And again, I went into 5th edition in the DMG has its own thing of like, oh, these are the things. Presents a number of pantheons, you know, all that kind of stuff. You can take one of these or pick and choose deities and ideas as you please. That literally is right here. I just read that. So it's like, the game itself doesn't even say, oh, we have a shit ton of gods, use them all.
Yeah.
It never would say that. It never would say that. So I don't get why he's making this the argument.
Yeah.
Why are you constructing a narrative that does not exist just to make your cool thing cool, you know? Like
that.
I know.
That's why.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's just anyway.
Yeah.
Bahamut is totally a major deity in my world along with Tiamat and Io. Yeah, exactly. That's absolutely fine.
Oh, you used Tiamat, Bahamut, and Io. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing with Io is that he got split in half by Demogorgon and he became Bahamut and Tiamat.
Are the gods he's going to mention now canon to mainline D&D? There's a book for Theros, and that has gods like Thassa and Xenagos, but those are tied to the Theros MTG setting. That's true. If he even goes into anything like that, it's like, oh, ooh. So we'll be on the lookout for that.
Not only do you have gods, but you have godlike entities and godlike powers.
Yep.
With the elemental princes as a prime example.
Exactly.
In 4th edition.
The line, do whatever is right for your game, makes most of the videos we watch come across as hollow and pointless. Sorry, pointy hat. Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. If they state that there is a problem, I am willing to hear out what the problem is. Because there could very well be a problem. And I might even agree that there is a problem. But you have to make it so that your argumentation is solid. So far, the point is too many gods. And we will see if there's more than just that, because there might be. But if there isn't more than just that, then it's over.
Yeah.
Hello, Pizza Funk. Because lots of people think the books are hard all or nothing rules when they are not. I don't see. This is the thing. They don't. I know they don't. They do not think that. They just make these things to act like they do.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
One of the very first sentences in both the player handbook and the DMG is these rules are more like guidelines, effectively. and you can play however you want. That's like almost always the first sentence in every single TTRPG ever made, or at least all the ones that are good.
Yeah. The 3.5 Player's Handbook has a perfectly functional number of gods in it, so you don't even need to make a new set. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiamat, Bahamut, and Io are siblings in my world, and Io is intersex.
Oh, neat.
Okay.
That's cool.
There you go.
I like it. If they're siblings, then may I ask what sphere of dragons does Io influence? Because you've got Bahamut for the metallics and then Tiamat for the chromatics.
Yeah.
I'm curious what Io does.
Let us continue.
Or if he's kind of like the bridge between them. He's like neutral.
Could be. Io is gem. There you go.
Ah, neat.
Makes sense.
Cool. The gem dragons are really neat.
Yeah. All right.
There are not only lesser, intermediate, and greater gods, but also demigods, your Herculeses of the world.
Honey, you mean Hercules!
These are, well, you see, when a god and their cleric love each other very much, demigods are quasi-deities, which is yet another subcategory. I am God's toughest soldier for making this simple and easy to understand. Believe me, they are less powerful than even lesser gods, and they are sometimes, maybe, depending on the day, kinda not really immortal. Not only are demigods a thing in D&D, but there are also dead powers. Dead powers are, you guessed it, the edgy option. But also, you guessed it again, dead gods. Gods cannot truly be killed, or can they? But they can be inconvenienced for a long time, which is what a dead power is.
No, they can be killed.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
almost every time you look at a god, or at least, okay, I'm thinking about this from the 4th edition Player's Handbook, but pretty much all of them are like, if you manage to kill the god in their home plane, they're dead.
yeah, exactly.
That's pretty much always been that.
Right.
It's just like devils.
Right. And again, it really just depends on how you want it to be, you know, because it could be like this. Because that's fine with me if you don't want them to ever die. It just takes them a very fucking long time to come back, you know, and they have to that's basically re-get their following somehow and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's always an interesting kind of aspect to me of like, this is a once dead god that is trying to regain its power, you know. But you know, we're going into, again, this is like, okay,
we're getting into a lot of semantics again.
Well, so no, it's not even it's literally just, what edition are you going from?
Oh, yes.
You know, like, again, it's just like, yeah, sure, these exist in D&D as a whole thing. They have existed, maybe do exist in some things, maybe will exist again in another edition, but why are you bringing it up if, like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, if we're not going by a specific edition, then why are we talking about the entirety of D&D as a whole and judging it from that standpoint? Because that seems ridiculous.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a very good point.
Unless you go from the current edition or whatever edition you want to go from. Like, there's no point in going, the whole fucking thing has just too much shit. It's like, okay.
Yeah, no shit.
The thing has existed.
Has too much shit.
The thing has existed for 50 goddamn years. Of course it's got a lot of shit in it. Wow. Yeah. So.
Did you catch a word of that? I have to know.
Did you see how many Space Marines there are? It fucking sucks, I think, is what you said.
Yeah, I said, did you see when we talked about Space Marines? It fucking sucked.
There you go.
were very close. I had a mouthful of ice cream, I'm sorry.
When another god pays them a visit in their home plane and brings them a food basket and, you know, death. Only a god can kill a god. Or can they? But it can also happen if they get cancelled and lose all their followers. R.I.P. in peace.
Okay.
When death,
okay.
Like actual death.
That's kind of funny.
Sure.
I love the idea of a god getting cancelled to death.
Sure.
That's hilarious.
Go back, sorry. The bodies of gods will drift into the astral plane and become islands upon which beautiful land development projects can take place, and the Githyanki can build strip malls and bowling alleys upon their carcasses. Neat. Honestly, whether a god can even die is kind of contradicted several times in the text, in that we have literal cadavers of gods in the astral plane, but also it is also plainly stated that gods cannot die, and several gods have died and then gotten better. So yeah, theoretically possible, but also actually possible, but also not possible at all. This game is 50 years
So, oh, what?
old, people. Canon was bound to contradict itself at some point.
Okay. Okay. That's an interesting point. So yes, written canon has definitely contradicted itself over the years, but you also have to look at each edition separately from each other in like to a degree, because each one was written to kind of stand alone.
Yes.
So again, my question is, what does it really matter in the grand scheme if you have all of these things that do exist in different editions? Because the only way we can consistently talk about a problem is if it is in every single edition, I suppose, if you want to go that way. Because when I look at the 5th edition Pantheon list, there's 20 gods. When I look at the 3rd edition one from Deities and Demigods, there are 22 gods. And then,
really? Only 22 in the God book?
Well, those are the ones that are listed on a table, to be fair. But also, like, you have your various supplementals for 3.5 for sure. And then, like, the other tables they have there are for other pantheons that are not D&D.
Ooh,
they're
neat.
like, hey, look at they did this in I think they did this for 5th as well. They go, look at the Greek pantheon, look at the Norse pantheon, look at, you know, the Egyptian pantheon, and it's like, oh, that's really cool, thank you.
They've got Slifer?
Exactly.
Slifer and Mega Ultra Chicken.
There it is. So, like, again, it's definitely, like, it feels really in bad faith to argue this point about something that, again, seems to try to stand on its own every single time it gets re-released. Except for 3rd to 4th, I think, or something, or 3rd to 3.5, I'm not sure, because of that.
Those two for sure.
Yeah, because there's like a Spellfire thing that happened and all this kind of shit. And so, like, they tried to put some canon in there, but they didn't do that before, and they haven't done that since. So, at least to my knowledge. Again, could be wrong about that.
Now, I know that, do you know the canon setting for 3 and 3.5, or no? Because I know that 4th edition was Mystara, specifically.
That makes sense. I assume it's Faerun. I assume. Just because of the gods. Because they're all Faerunian gods.
Oh, yeah, they are all the same.
Yeah,
that's true.
But, yeah, so, let's see. Also, Io is an opal dragon. Ooh, neat.
Opals are, that's a perfect gem dragon god idea.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Love it.
I love it.
Deific canon contradicting itself is the most real religion thing ever. Look at the spoken Norse traditions versus versions of Odin, for example. Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. But again, I get there is an argument to be made of what is canon, what is not, for sure. But again, when you have specific versions that have written down stuff for their version, you have to go by what is there for that version. That's just kind of the rule, because otherwise we would go into this crazy town of saying there are 37,000 gods, and they all have the I have no idea what any of them are like because they have such conflicting stories.
Yeah, and then I can't believe I'm fucking bringing this up. I never thought I'd get to use this, but there's a character in comic books, kind of a famous magic user, and I want to say he's in DC. I think he's in DC. And he's called the Phantom Stranger. And the Phantom Stranger is super fucking interesting. And I won't make this very long because, you know, comic book characters can go really fucking long.
Yeah.
But he's insanely powerful, and he's one of, like, the top magic users. He can rival gods, yada, yada, yada. He's categorized by, like, some of the books that provide more information on the actual setting as an Archmage, which is the highest level of magic users. He's equivalent to, like, Dr. Fate and Dr. Strange, if not more so. Something that is insanely interesting about him is that nobody knows who the fuck he is. And there was a Phantom Stranger story that revealed that someone was able to like read his mind and like jump into his mind. I want to say it was a Black Lantern or something like that. Yeah. And the Black Lantern, when he tried to take over the Phantom Stranger's mind, he saw four contradicting backstories for the Phantom Stranger. He was an angel. He was Judas. He was someone who tried to save Sodom and Gomorrah. Oh. And he was a person from the future. Okay. So, bottom line here, if you have all these gods, and even if you want to use them all, it doesn't really matter how much contradiction there is in their backstory, because you still have to pick one, unless you are a fucking masterclass writer, and I can guarantee you, you're not.
Well, so, like, it's one of those things where it doesn't fucking matter at the end of the day.
It doesn't.
Right? Because you will come up with what needs to be relevant for that thing in your game.
Exactly.
So
it truly doesn't matter if it contradicts itself. You'll pick one.
Yes,
you have to.
Exactly. You just don't want to keep all that in your head. You really don't.
Yeah. Unless that's the entire point of the character, right. Like with the Phantom Stranger.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Those, like, for that specifically, like, all of those could be true. You know? Like, at the same time. Is what I'm saying.
In the story, they are all true.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like...
Even though they all contradict.
Exactly.
And it's impossible.
Exactly.
It's great.
It just makes sense for something that would be that powerful and like a god. Like, you cannot understand how that could make sense, right?
Yes.
Because that's kind of how it works when you're all powerful.
And if anybody is curious, just let me know. I can post the video that goes into it in the Discord, and then Alejo can probably link it in the chat. It's a fantastic video, and it's really good.
So, yeah, again, it's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Greyhawk is canon for 3.5 according to Google. Okay. There you go.
Okay.
It's Greyhawk.
Neat. I didn't know that.
Okay, so that's our rundown on how D&D gods work, and that's all well and good. But before we talk about gods and their problems, we gotta meet our cast so we can have some concrete examples. So let's talk a bit about some specific gods. But what are gods most known for? Creation, of course, and their domains. Some gods reign over underwater cities in the plane of water. Some reign over deserts of crystal where the sand is made of glass. And some reign over nothing. A swirling void
glass.
Only
glass is made of sand.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Place to stand on your own feet are the carcasses of other dead gods. If you seek the favor of gods, or you seek to fight them, you'll end up in their domains. And luckily, Cheipeku is here to give them to you. That's right, Cheipeku is back, and so are their maps. I use them in my actual game, so they come personally recommended by me.
These look really nice. I like the animation and stuff.
There was animation? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's some, if you look at, like, the fountain and stuff.
Why? Because there are more
I saw it. Yeah,
4,000 of these bad boys. More than 4K hand-drawn, beautiful fantasy maps.
That's too many maps.
Battle maps
There's
to
a
really
problem.
bring your players wherever you could ever want to bring them. And getting these maps could not be easier. Just head over to their Patreon in the description of this very video you're watching, choose the Master Cartographer membership level, and you can get your grubby little hands on their entire stock of maps. Maps come with variations like different seasons for all your fall aesthetic needs, but also weather effects like rain and snow, and much, much more, including time of day, which is fantastic because...
Of course, if you're interested in this at all, the link to the video itself will be in the description, so you can go to the link that he has in his description so that you can support it that way.
Is this still recent? Like, is this still a thing?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I mean, this will get you to their Patreon, I assume, so... It doesn't...
Oh, true, yeah.
So... Or just search them on Patreon. Who knows? I don't know. We're not sponsored. Anyway.
I'm such a stickler for the map actually reflecting stuff like that. So if bringing a new level of immersion and just outright beauty and stunning craftsmanship and polish to your table sounds like a good idea, which, come on now, check out their Patreon in the description of this very video. And thank you, Cheipeku, for sponsoring the hat. So once again, we're not going through every god because I love myself and I don't want to be trapped in this video for 1,000 years. So I'll just do some heavy hitters. Pipe up in the comments if your chosen divine daddy made the list. First up, patron deity of goth girlfriends of all planes of existence, Lady Shah.
Lady Shah.
Shar, literally called Dark Lady, Lady Shah. Or
You know, I didn't even know that she was a thing until, like, the game happened and everybody started talking about her. I had no idea
Yeah,
that
I had
she
never
existed.
even heard of her before.
So, I
It was
mean,
hilarious.
sure. I mean, it's one. Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
neat.
It's just funny because it's like, this is a heavy hitter. Is it a heavy hitter because she actually is, or because of Baldur's Gate?
Because of Baldur's Gate, exactly. Right? Like,
Yeah. Like, come on now.
I don't know.
Not that I have a problem with anything that Shadowheart chooses to do. 'Cause,
Sure.
you know.
Um, I wish Pointy Hat would just tell stories and give ideas instead of doing the problem thing. Me too.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's literally just like, again, I'm fine. Again, there's nothing wrong with creating your own stuff. That's cool.
Yeah,
like,
there's really not.
100%. You
That's
should.
what I'm doing.
Yeah, you should do that. That's so much fun to do, and it's a task in of itself, and it'll help you improve as you continue to do it. On
Not to mention, considering how shitty Wizards of the Coast is, making your own shit is a lot safer than using the shit that they make.
Yeah. So, like, as long as you don't want Pinkertons coming to your house, you can go and do whatever you want.
Yep.
And so, it's like, I want to foster the fact that whatever he creates, that's good. That's good enough, you know? Like, even if it doesn't necessarily work for everyone and every game, doesn't matter. You've made something that's sick, right? First and foremost. We can talk about if, you know, it actually fits together at a later point, but at the beginning of the conversation, it's literally, you created your own thing that works for you in your games. That's awesome. Do that more. Fucking sick. If it's inspired from the fact that there are too many gods in the entirety of D&D, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that either. But when you go so far as to say that there is a problem because of that,
then
what
we
are
have
we
a problem.
What are we doing then? We have to come in, absolutely have to come in
Must.
and say, I'm sorry, what the fuck did you just say?
We're not sponsored. We have to.
No, exactly. I'm sorry, what the fuck did you just say about there being a problem because this is the case? Okay.
Sure. Whatever.
What do you mean? And then when we find out, it's like, okay, for you.
Yeah, right?
For you.
God.
Mistress of the Night, Elvira is quaking, is the goddess of darkness and night in Faerun. Yes, another one. They're honest to God, like 7 of these,
well,
and they're
there's the same joke.
basically indistinguishable from one another, which I guess is what happens when you put so many gods in your setting. Ebony, Dark.
Okay. So again,
my God.
yes, if there are a shit ton of gods in D&D that overlap, that is because, again, we have so many editions and 50 years of writing. I get that.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Now, parsing through that to pick and choose what you want is what they recommend in their books. They literally say, oh, there's a lot here, and hey, you could use what we got, or you can make your own, or what the fuck ever.
Not to mention, it's incredibly disingenuous to say that every single god of night or dark or whatever is the same exactly. I don't care if they're in the same sphere, or even if they call themselves the same title.
Yeah.
There's actually a really interesting god that you can find in the new new Ravenloft.
Yeah.
Curse of Strahd, right?
Yeah.
That's the new one?
Yeah. Van Richten's guide as
and-
well.
Yeah. What the fuck was she called? Oh, god damn it.
No idea.
Oh, it was like Mother Night or something.
Okay.
Or something. I don't know. But one thing that's really interesting is that she's a god of the dead, and she's a god of necromancy, but she is not evil at all. She is actually, if I remember right, if you want to label her, she's actually chaotic good because her necromancy is specifically related to couples who want to love each other and remain in love and being able to love each other as like revenants forever.
That's neat.
And that's her whole deal.
Yeah.
She encourages people who have like lost loved ones, or like she encourages her priests to be like, hey, we heard that you lost your wife. Do you want me to summon her spirit or bring her back from the dead so that you can be together again if she is willing? It's a lot more interesting than most death gods.
Yeah.
And so if he, oh my God, if he has the fucking balls to bring her up and say that,
No,
because obviously it's a new it's a relatively new book, so I feel like it's possible. But
no, I don't think so. He's literally gonna go over bullet points of things that you know. Like that's not something that people know. So
yeah,
there's no way that he's
even
going
though I probably just sold that god
it's
to
pretty
somebody.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. I like that a lot. It's
really interesting.
The problem with labeling every like god saying
like by their sphere.
Yeah, exactly. That the problem there is that you are not taking into account their personality.
Exactly.
Because all of these gods have been written as if they were gods like the Greek or Roman ones who were basically just people but really powerful.
They were just assholes.
Yeah,
they were just really powerful dickheads.
Exactly. And
especially Zeus.
And because everybody understands that if it's just a really cool big thing that just kind of does one thing and doesn't really have any like anything more than that, that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
But
hell,
when you
even the chaos gods in Nurgle in 40k are a lot more interesting than what they would appear.
Yes.
You know, Nurgle's a plague god, but he adores his followers.
Yeah.
He loves the fuck out of them.
Exactly.
In a bad way, but he genuinely does.
Exactly. Like, again, the personality is there, and that's what really matters, and it shows how they influence their domain in whatever way they want to. Just like you said with this god from Ravenloft.
I really wish I remembered her name.
It's such a cool instance, and I think that like that god and my character who was a necromancer who wanted to spread that stuff to help people would really get along, and that would be one of the ones that he follows.
Yeah, you might he could have worshipped her.
Exactly.
Easy.
100%. So
let me see if I can find her.
Yeah.
Because I know the video I'm thinking of. The video I'm thinking of is literally called "The Most Romanceable God in D&D as a Lich." That's literally what the video is called.
Nice.
So I'll look it up. I'll try to remember. I'll find her name.
So yeah, it's just I don't know.
Darkness Dimension Raven. Wait, no, that one. Yep, that's the one. Embodies all evil aspects of night and darkness. Whereas Salune,
Evening Glory.
Evening Glory.
Her name is Evening Glory.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can find her like imprisoned in Curse of Strahd.
Okay. Oh, neat.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Oh, well.
All evil aspects of night and darkness. Whereas Salune, her sister, yet another night-themed goddess, embodies all good things that come with night, like Halloween parties and anime endings with fireworks in them. Whereas the Lady Shah embodies secrets, concealment, and, more importantly, loss. She's darkness not in a let's catch some Z's way, but in a hide in the dark quietly and wait to strike those you want dead kind of way. The loss thing is big, really big if you played Baldur's Gate 3. Shah is lost in the absence of light, but also in the literal absence of everything, including memories. Shah can make you forget anything.
Okay, so you're showing us that you know that there's a difference between two gods of the same domain. You are showing that.
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
Yeah, like
why
are
we here? Is it literally just because there are two different gods of the same domain? Again, I brought this up in the fact that in your pantheon, you usually want to have one that's more towards a good side, one that's more towards a bad side, and maybe even, if you want to spice things up, have one that's more of a neutral side as well. You know?
Yeah, it's almost as if phenomena and different, events and things can be seen through different lenses.
Exactly. So, like, why are we... What is the point that you are trying to make that there are two gods that are very much the same in domain? Because, again, you've given us the fact that they are not the same in personality or in what they literally practice.
Yeah, and, like, what they represent.
Yeah. So
I
what I'm just whatever your final point is going to be, I need to know it now because I don't care about any of this, you know? Why did that refresh the page?
Anything.
Okay, that was weird.
Oh.
There's Wee Joss, but she's lawful neutral. Yes, that's true.
Mm.
I wonder what Pointy Hat would think about Cornell wanting to become a deity. Oh, he'd say that there's too many already. Why would you want another one? No,
yeah,
no.
why do you want-
So this is the thing. He would be fine with it because you made your own. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
right.
why are we here? Just to suffer. Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Which might seem like a nice thing, but she's literally against healing. If you seek out Char to forget what breaks your achy breaky heart, you will never truly heal that wound. You will just forget it's there, become numb to it. In other news, play Baldur's Gate 3. If you haven't gathered by now, she's what in this industry we call bad, which is yet another aspect of D&D gods that is very much present. D&D gods can straight up be meanies openly and unashamedly, which is more of a thing in polytheistic religions, which D&D very much is. A lot. But you know, not that much of a thing. Not many cultures have an evil god.
What are
And it
you
also doesn't
fucking
even
talking
make that
about?
much-
He's just going.
I want to say that almost every single one has an evil god. You have Set in Egypt.
Well,
You have
yes.
Loki in Norse. You've got Hades, who isn't super bad, but he's definitely a god of the dead and
Yeah.
and stuff.
But it's not
I mean, hell,
necessarily
if you want to get one that's more evil, Zeus.
Right, exactly.
You've also got things like Scylla.
Yes. So again, most, not all, because again,
You've also got them in Hindu. You've got them in Japanese.
Yes.
You have them in almost every single one.
Right. Yes.
I have no idea what he's on about.
Well, so there are different religions that don't necessarily utilize god-like figures. In fact, in the 5e and in the 3.5 one, they talk about different kinds of spirituality in the sense of like what is it? The for 3.5 there is the planar, like the actual concepts of like good and evil. Those are utilized
so like
more.
the Platonic ones. Yeah.
Like they're not like actual gods. They're just there as a force, basically.
Yeah, they're like the embodiment of a concept.
Yeah, and then you have like more literal spiritual kind of religions as well that are not god-based. They are just spirits, you know, but they are good and bad things, but they're not necessarily gods, right?
Yes. A great example of something like that would actually be a lot of the spiritualism from Native American cultures.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Something that I actually learned through the course of my writing is that I was looking for an animal that was seen in a negative light by Native Americans because I wanted to see if there was anything that related. And there actually was not. Snakes, everything you would consider to be like scary or bad, like spiders, snakes, different birds, like crows and stuff, owls. Basically everything that's like slightly creepy and could be construed as evil by most people. No.
Yeah.
It's full respect and like genuinely interesting and like neutral to nice qualities about them. It's really interesting.
It's a great I guess theology to research.
Yeah, it's a great belief system.
Yes, that's
much.
the word. That's the word. Yeah.
But I think my point still stands here because he specifically said it doesn't happen in many pantheistic or pantheistic.
He was saying that it is in many polytheistic.
Oh, he was saying it was. Oh,
yes.
Oh, I thought he said that it wasn't.
Yeah,
That's why I was going.
No,
off.
oh, okay. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
he said
my
it is.
mistake.
It is. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank fucking God.
Let's see. Can be looked in a bad light, yes, but all still had followers that saw them as good. Yes, that's true. Set, Hel, Kronos, and was Shiva the Destroyer? I can't remember, etc.
Shiva is actually a creator and destroyer.
Yes.
You're thinking of Kali.
Yes, exactly.
But in the Hindu one, I want to say it was Ravan. Or Ravana, however you pronounce it.
I don't know. Pluto is also known as Despotter, apparently. Oh.
Yep.
Why not have the god have multiple personalities who takes the role of other gods, or maybe even just one god pretending to be multiple gods of the same domain to maximize believers? You could do. That's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely could.
Abso-fucking-lutely, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Coyote isn't evil, but he's pretty much a goofus. True.
sense in D&D, because how many sickos are you really gonna find that openly worship an objectively evil god? Because apparently it's millions, because there are many evil greater deities. Weird to me, but anyway, next up, the god
Have
of
you
Tech Bros
forgotten
IT
that orcs and ogres and giants and all these other, like, usually evil races exist and...
Yeah, I whenever he says anything about numbers, I just ignore it now, because it's like it doesn't
yeah, that's fair.
it doesn't fucking matter,
It doesn't track.
right? Because he's not coming from anything that literally will help.
Yeah, he's not coming from anywhere logical,
No,
basically.
he's just saying big number bad, and I'm like, okay,
Sure.
yes, to you I suppose it can be. Make big numbers small. Okay. That's what literally
the opposite of what I do as a gamer.
It's literally what it's literally what no, actually with Call of Cthulhu, no. You got to make big numbers small.
Yeah.
But again, all of the books literally say pick what you need, don't have to use all of this shit. Like, so I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
What Pizza said is Pointy Hat's idea here of the multiple personality thing. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. If that's his overall thing, if he wants to make two or one god that literally does multiple roles, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm fine with that being the concept. But there's no problem here that we haven't already solved / isn't already solved in the text itself.
Yeah, it's unnecessary.
It really, like, if you are just overwhelmed by the fact that there are so many gods and you want to make, like, 3, go, do it. Yes, absolutely. Again, I don't mean to keep harping on it, but I want to stress there is nothing wrong with creating your own pantheon in whatever style you want.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. It's the fact that he's an influential person who's making a video saying that the quantity of gods is a problem. And he's throwing this out there to his audience to try to convince them that there are so many things out there, and that is a problem because they're all in these same domains and everything. And it's like, but dude, none of the books, except for the older editions, really say, oh, there's like 67 million gods, because 3.5 had so many supplements that added so much, that's where a lot of bloat from gods came from. For sure. But at the same time, in their books itself, they say, hey man, there's a lot. You make your pantheon however you see fit, man. Go for it.
Verbatim.
Yeah. So, like,
they literally say, hey man.
Yeah, they do. It's really, they used to be cool.
They did. God. Remember when they were cool?
I do. God,
it sucks. So not chill anymore.
Oh, you're good, Pizza Funk. No, it hasn't been stated outright in the video yet. Timothy just has knowledge because Timothy has watched this before. So you're good. Anyway.
Techs and the sad little people that insist that they are artists when a machine vomits up a mess of stolen art after they typed anime girl big bahongalongas into it. Primus, the god of Mechanus. Kind of a deep cut, I know, but I wanted to include this genderless guy to show just how many gods there are in D&D. So many. Anyway, Primus is literally not the god of anything but Mechanus, the clockwork outer plane of neutrality and order. That's right, their portfolio is just Mechanus, the place. Primus has a lot of supercomputer god vibes, which I wish it went more in that.
Why are we bringing him up then? You know, if he's only influential on one plane, if you never go to that plane in your campaign, then what the fuck is the point? Who cares?
I'm sure surely there's some well-worded, intelligent thing coming. Surely.
Oh, okay.
Direction, because that's so sick to me. They sit at the top of the Modron hierarchy. Modrons, I honestly don't know if it's Modrons or Modrons, so I'm just gonna guess, and you can scream at me if I get it wrong.
Don't worry, I'm not screaming at you for that reason.
Modrons are beings that live and are created in Mechanus, and they would be really, really cool if they didn't look like this. Ew.
Sure.
Mechanus runs like a machine, and so do its residents. There's a finite, perfectly controlled number of Modrons, and there shall never be one more or one less. If a Modron dies, another one will rise to take its place. Modrons are divided in super rigid tier lists. These minion-looking nightmares are
Why are we going into Modrons? They're not,
Because they're vaguely associated with Primus.
like, they are literally under him, but, like, what is the point? You could just have told me that he's a part of this plane and he controls these things, and I don't need to know what they are. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't go into that with anything else so far, so why are we going into this now? Is it just because he is over this one plane and you want to stress for the fact that this is an unnecessary thing to you? Which, fuck it, I don't care if it's unnecessary to you. This is how this god operates for this plane. I'm sure that there would be many that work the same way. They only have influence over one thing. So, okay.
at the very bottom, and we go through several new fun abominations as we go up, with duodrones, tridrones, quadrones, pentadrones, pauldrons, squadrons, and cauldrons, to name just a few. And at the very top sits their god, the supreme Modron, Primus. What's fun about Primus is that they can die. That sounded weird. But Primus can very much die, and it's fun. When a Modron dies, the one directly below the dead one takes its spot in the hierarchy, and a new Monodrone is created. If Primus dies, which they have several times, the highest ranking Modron will just take the place of Primus. So Primus isn't immortal, but in practice, yes they are. This keeps the minion army healthy so that they can fight demons. Yep, they do that. Look how long this video is already. We don't have time to get into that. Maybe one day we'll do Mechanus.
You didn't have to get into this part. Really?
Yeah.
Um,
Dumbass.
But, okay. You realize you can make the video as long or as short as you want as well, right?
Apparently he wanted to make it shorter,
So,
but
okay.
he doesn't know how to cut shit.
Well, so no, he does. This is the thing. This is for a specific purpose. And it's to make it seem like there's a lot more bloat than there is. Because he's explaining a whole plane of existence that is different to what the material plane is.
It's true.
Okay. Yes, there are other planes, they work differently, they might have different gods. Wowie! Yeah. We don't have time. Anyway, Modrons, am I right? Exactly.
Yeah, right? Fucking hell.
Like, it's just flat out unnecessary, and if you're gonna point it out like that to try to lampshade it, I know what you're doing here. I understand your ploy is to make it so that it's like, oh, I took so long talking about Primus. It's like, oh, no, you explain the entirety of his concept and everything that he has to do with, actually. It's like, well, I guess that's the point that you're trying to do, but why are we talking about Primus when he doesn't conflict with anything else? He is his own thing. He is over one thing. Is it just because he adds to the number count? Yes. Oh, okay.
Probably, yeah.
Cool.
God.
Great.
Ugh. I hate that that's probably completely correct.
That's the only reason. It's the only reason why this video has been made. There's too many numbers.
You know what? Okay, here's an actual question. If you have this issue with gods, why do you choose Primus as one of your examples? Because
I assume,
just like you're saying, Primus is a god, the only god in a single plane of existence. He rules over it entirely, and nobody else tries to take it from him. There's no conflict, there's no squabbles. He is alone. He goes nowhere. He affects nothing.
Well, he
but that
does affect the demons because he fights them. But
fair. But
you want to know why this is one of them on the list as well, is because he fits a role as being superfluous. Because he is so far out of the way in his own plane that he doesn't need to exist. In which case, I would point to the book and say, yes, they also agree. He doesn't need to exist in your game. Like, just straight up. Yup.
God.
Cool.
Oh. Why did we have to do another pointy hat video, dude?
Because
These
it's
are
stuff like this We haven't covered any of his other stuff that's actually apparently like decent. That's the thing. But like
this well is so spicy at this point.
This is 10 minutes of a 34-minute video, and again,
I know
he's just gonna go over gods for a while until he gets to his thing of like, this is what I made. In which case I can go,
this is my fix.
Literally when he goes to that point, it's just gonna be, okay, cool. You know?
Yeah,
like, cause
right?
that's it. But
yeah, that's all it ever is. When you try to fix these problems that don't
exist,
fixed, it's always like, hey, good for you.
That's a cool
okay,
thing.
bye.
I'm glad you did it for you. It doesn't affect anybody else. Why did you?
Cool story.
Yeah.
Now, we're gonna talk about one last god, and we've given the goat god a ton of shine. So let's do a smaller one.
Oh, one last god?
Literally
Awesome.
called the bitch queen. Because she's the coolest god, is one of the 1700 gods of the sea, and one of my favorite gods in all of D&D canon. Because she's just fun to put in games. Umberlee is bad in an uncomplicated Disney villain-esque way. She is worshipped quite a lot, not because she's well-liked, but because people are scared of her, but they still need to sail, and she will sink their ships if they don't pray to her. So
cool.
sailors are forced to embrace simphood out of fear, which is fun. She's fun.
That's literally just fucking Poseidon in most stories.
Yeah.
And also in a lot of pirate stories.
Yeah.
Hell,
Hey, D&D made their equivalent. That's cool. Sure.
I know.
You know, like it's.
You can pretty much do that for any sea god, though, because most of them are very capricious, just like the ocean.
And guess what? That's probably his point, is that there's so many of them, and they all probably act pretty similarly. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, but
you have this one particular one that you like.
yes, and again,
and yet,
so
it's not all these other gods. So you gotta use out of there being more than one sea god.
Exactly. So like, okay.
Yeah.
That's also most evil gods. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Pay me tithe, otherwise you get things happen to you. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like, hey, I'm powerful. Give me shit or I'm gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sea, and more specifically, anything bad that happens in it. Storms, that's Umberlee. Tsunamis, that's also Umberlee. A weird f***ed up fish that looks like it hurts to be him, that's most definitely also Umberlee's doing. Another fantastic thing about Umberlee is that she's not pretty, which is a novelty among D&D goddesses and the Coomer design convention behind their design. But it also feels like she loves being just the
I'm just
grossest.
gonna let that
She's
one
said to
go.
appear to sailors in the middle of a storm as this like several stories tall woman who smells like the world's worst fish market and looks worse. Or sometimes, when she's feeling flirty, I guess, just a guy with the head of a manatee and a seaweed wig. Umberlee, best god.
Academy Award.
Oh, and also she could just straight up turn into a kraken. Fun. Personality-wise, she's insufferable. 100% certified.
Bad guy. Duh.
She takes immense pleasure in being a
was
pain in the ass.
There's a thing from a song, and I don't know. It doesn't like it.
This is painful.
It just doesn't add anything other than, look, I referenced this. Like, yes, I get references are fun. I get that you want to reference things. Everybody does their reference things. That's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But when it's an insufferable video, I just can't. I just don't care. Just get to your fucking thing.
Of everyone that sails the sea, lives next to the sea, looks at the sea weird, is vaguely aware of the concept of the sea, and she'll make you pay for that. She also loves gold and jewels and treasure and wants it all the time, forever, which in my world means that Umberlee temples are—
You know what would be way better for this? Way better as a point that he wants to do is just list how many are there that are in this domain. Don't go into them in detail, just show me that there are 67 for the sea. There are 52 that are for darkness. Like, just show me the numbers, and then I can go, oh yeah, that's a lot. Because that will go so far, so much farther than you going deep into 3 gods. And maybe that's what he's going to do next. Don't get me wrong, he might pull that out next and go, look at how many are for this. Which I will then go, oh, that's a lot. But then, I don't know, I have a fucking brain, so then I start saying, But how many of those are from this current edition? How many of those are from previous editions? Which editions are these from? And why do I care?
Yeah. Why is this a problem? You know what would have made this at least a slightly better point? Like building on what you're saying. Let's use this example of a god of the sea. And he describes one where it's like, hey, this is a god of the sea where she's a fucking bitch and people don't worship her because they like her. They worship her because if they don't, they'll
drown.
capsize and shit. Then what you do is, this is a neat concept, but guess how many gods are literally just this?
Exactly. That would have been better.
That's what you should be doing.
Absolutely.
Because that way you can actually demonstrate some superfluidity, or superfluousness, whichever one of those is the appropriate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's how you do that.
Exactly.
Because at least then you can get the people who are like, oh yeah, that's true. There's a lot of overlap.
Yes.
But then the people who are actually going to give it a modicum of fucking intelligent thought will be like, well, wait a minute. They can't all be the same.
They can't
like
all
exactly
exist
the same.
either.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't all be the exact same thing, so I'm going to look into them. This one sounds interesting. How is he or she or it different?
Yeah. Exactly.
Not to mention, there's another thing that you can do to actually make all of this make perfect sense. You could have a D&D game with all of them.
Oh, sure.
You could have every single god, and like obviously not name every single one of them, but you can say there's like 17,000 gods. How the fuck did that happen? Well, the Kuatoa. Do you know what the Kuatoa do?
Yeah.
There you go.
They just come up with things, but like even then, I don't even think that's like great.
Oh, it wouldn't be great, but it's at least an in-canon example.
Sure.
That like an actual example of how it could have happened.
Sure, yeah.
Now, granted, you could obviously have like a god war where it's like, it's a fucking battle royale of gods and only the strongest ones survive. So they may have created and continue to create all these gods, but they're constantly like whittled down.
Yeah. Like, you could do whatever the fuck you want. That's the whole point. It's even said in the fucking books.
But why would you read those?
But why would you read?
Yeah.
Just listen to the video and tell me that it's true. This is why I started the show. Videos like this fucking thing.
This is why I drink. This is why I could use a drink.
Exactly. By the way,
no one is ever gonna get that.
Oh no, of course not. By the way, this is also just Nautilus from League of Legends, except he is a kaiju-sized diving suit. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it is.
Oh, is Nautilus also an asshole? I didn't actually know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's like an asshole to people that don't respect the sea, basically. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he was just a diver dude.
No, they changed his lore like a long time ago.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Because I know they do that sometimes. They fucking ruined my boy Skarner.
Yeah.
Sad. He went from having like 3 paragraphs of lore to a sentence of lore.
Yeah, basically.
Very sad.
But what makes the other water gods worse? True, good question. Because they exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, capricious gods are the worst, aren't they?
Are surprisingly very rich due to all the constant flux of tribute sailors need to pay this ass pimple of a god to let them work in peace. This is surprising because in my world, you wouldn't expect an Umberlee temple to have anything valuable in it, since in my games, they look like these gross waterlogged monstrosities made out of shipwrecked carcasses of ships and the bone and lard of beach whales, and not this beautiful neoclassical thing they went for in Baldur's Gate 3. I'm still upset at this. Let Umberlee be gross, please. The outfit you get there...
So here's the thing. The statue itself is kind of gross, but they beautified the temple because... they want to make her happy?
Yeah.
Like, that's like the point of creating a nice space so that they can give them offerings and shit. So that they can go, guess what? We really like you, I promise.
Yeah, it's like, we know you like gold and jewels and like pretty stuff, so we made your temple really nice and pretty.
Yeah, it's almost like
we
there's
still
a
have the
purpose to it.
We still have a statue of you being a fugly bitch, but I mean, that's just, we don't want to misrepresent.
Yeah, exactly. So...
Slap though. Good job on that. Okay, so we've explained
God.
how the god tier list works in D&D. We've talked about a whole bunch of gods, but what if we gave gods a new twist?
Oh, are we finally
So
there?
you want to make a god?
Jesus. it was-
Oh, okay. So it literally was just there's a ton of them. That's it. That's
Yeah,
the entire
and-
reason there's a problem. Awesome.
And here's some gods. And that's it. Here's Primus, here's Umberly. That's it.
And Char.
Yeah, and Char.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind him showing Char because I got to see Shadowheart.
I
don't mind.
I don't.
You get a pass on that.
No. There's no point other than to say, oh, also Saloon exists. And she does something different. And it's like, oh, she does something different, does she? Oh,
But Shadowheart was on the screen, dude.
I don't care.
I care.
I don't like this. That whole 13 minutes, or
Yeah,
maybe a
right,
little less than that, was pointless to me. You could have just told me, like, your video could have started here with you saying, D&D has a shit ton of gods over all of the editions, so I condensed them down to a few things that work for me in my game, and then gone into your process and then say, and this is how you might be able to make your own gods, and go into that process. That's
You
all
just start
you
with
need.
the fucking concept
That's
of the video.
literally all you need, and then guess what? You just title it, I made my own D&D gods, and this is how you can too.
You won't believe God number 7.
That's how you can still clickbait title it, so people will actually fucking look at it, and then
Yeah.
you can still do your whole thing of showing off what you've made, showing a process that people can follow and helping people, and also getting the point across that there are a shit ton of gods. Because yes, I agree with you, there are, but saying that there is a problem and just pointing to the number is not a good argument.
Can someone who's our meme lord? Is it Pizza Funk?
I think it
forgetting.
is, and Draco
Pizza
Kraken does
Funk?
good ones too.
Can our resident meme lords please make a meme of Pointy Hat, a soy jack pointing with pointy hat on, and just pointing to a big number?
Yes,
please?
exactly.
I would love that.
That's actually a good one. Yes. All right.
Should be an easy what is it, like a deep fried one.
Yeah,
too,
really.
you know? No effort.
Yeah.
Scene.
Where, Rachel?
Oh my god.
Show me to me, please. Send it to me, Rachel.
So I'm just gonna take a wild guess as to how gods have been used in like 99% campaigns out there. Most commonly, they just weren't. That's it. Gods were basically non-existent in your campaign other than like the one time y'all went to a temple. Second most common is one god was. The god that the cleric, or sometimes the paladin, worshipped. And that one got an impossibly large amount of screen time compared to literally any other god. To the point where it felt like it was the only god in the setting, and definitely the only one that even cared about whatever world-threatening event the party planned to stop.
Okay, so what is the problem with that? You need to tell me what the problem is.
Include. I thought you already had a fucking issue with there being too many.
Yeah.
Now there's a problem with us only including the god that the guy worships.
So now I will give you this. Logically, if something is happening in the world that has vested interests of many gods should have an interest in what's going on and doing stuff about it. What you do then is you work that in somehow to make it so that it works and makes sense, and that you don't need to like have everybody talking to all of them all of the time, right? Because they're still there, they're still doing their thing. Hell, you can say, oh, guess what? Clerics from this order that follow this god are actually going this way to do something about the thing that's happening. Or druids from this order are doing this in the name of this god. Or this fucking group of people who aren't even technically anything. They're just like, because it would be the will of this god, they're doing something, right? Like, you just put in these little things just to make it so that it's like, oh yeah, they give a shit about the other gods. Whoa, if you really want to. Otherwise, I mean, at the end of the day, do you need to signpost that shit? Only if it's relevant. Right? Or if you want to add cool world building stuff that maybe they'll appreciate, or maybe you'll just appreciate that you put in. That's also a perfectly valid reason. But at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. You can do it however you want, and you can absolutely say, so we're going to interact with this one god in this campaign because that's the one that the cleric follows or the paladin follows. And that's really kind of unless you guys seek out whatever god, that's really all we've got at the moment. So
that's really all we've got at the moment. Kill me, please.
So we are just gonna deal with that. And again, unless you guys seek it out, it's probably not too important, and that's fine. And then if they start going, well, why wouldn't it be that important to that god? And you go, because, I mean, maybe they're kind of busy doing other stuff.
I mean, he's a god.
The world does exist, like, there are other things to worry about. You guys are taking care of this potentially world-ending threat, but there's also other potential
your
world
god has
ending
been
threats.
like, hey, look, I've got some guys, I know a few guys, and the other gods are like, they're like, they're sitting back in their chair like Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
He was like, okay, I'll watch.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you want to prove that your guys are better than my guys? Absolutely, yeah. If they don't do
make
this,
it a fucking game between them.
Yeah,
they don't care. They're gods.
Absolutely. So, like,
they might lose a few worshippers, but who fucking cares?
Right.
They're gods.
Exactly. Guess what? Oh, you lost some worshippers from your side. Well, guess what? I still have mine. That's neat.
Ha!
Bitch. So, like, you can take it whichever way you need to. But again, I assume that him bringing this point up is just to make it so that it's like, the argument doesn't feel like the gods really matter because there's only the one god. And it's like, well, yes, to a degree, I agree. That is true. That it would feel that way potentially. But at the same time, does it also just work for your game and your table? Do they really care that much? In which case, if they do care, I assume that you as the DM would then go, okay, let's integrate a little bit more stuff. If you don't,
and so actually,
then you don't.
Speaking of, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Because I never actually really asked. Because what was going on in our campaign was a pretty big fucking deal, actually. Yeah. Once you finally learned what was actually happening, if it came to pass, that would have been really bad.
Yeah.
What did you think about only the devils dealing with it?
So,
I suppose.
Right. Because I have the understanding that I do about the world, I was a little bit more biased in my viewpoint of it, because I've also read the lore of devils, and I know of how they bicker over their domains and they want to push into each other's and everything, right? So I was personally like, oh yeah, that makes sense. The Disc Potter only wants, the thing to be contained here. Doesn't really necessarily want other people to know about it, and really just kind of deal with it on their own. Like, it made sense to me because I knew how the world worked.
Yes.
So I was fine with it. I guess it would be a better question for somebody who didn't know.
That's true.
So
but yeah, like that was the reason.
Exactly.
Like, and I mean, hell, that's even something that I kind of alluded to. You did say
it, like, basically. Yeah.
I alluded to it where it's like, oh, they can't really know because it would make us look weak.
Exactly.
And I can't ask for help because I cannot owe them.
Yes, exactly.
Because that would be bad.
Exactly. And at the same time, I also, in my mind, I'm like, well, even if he won, there's like 7 or 8 other like archdevils that, or not archdevils, but like archdevils.
Archdevils.
That are around that would then go, don't like that. So they could also go in and start doing stuff, and it would become a bigger thing. Like, he wouldn't have won one, Like, he would have had the plane, yes, but
he would have had an infinite city that he was then in control of.
That is true.
So you make that city infinitely big, and you stay in the middle.
That is true. So it would be a whole thing.
It would be bad.
It would be a whole big bad thing. But at the same time, I also think, but we could probably they probably could do something about that.
Yeah, they could probably
know?
contain him somehow.
Exactly.
But yeah, it would be a bad situation for everybody.
Yes.
Because then he's because not only that, he's got all the portal hounds.
Yes.
So he can launch any number of attacks anywhere in like the multiverse,
yes,
basically.
That's true. That is true. But yeah, so I was totally on board and I understood, and even if I didn't, I feel like I would have, because just knowing how devils are just in general, like that that would have given me enough.
Because I think at this point at this point of our like D&D career, you kind of do learn at least a decent amount about, you know, the major not so much factions, but kind of like enemy species. You know, you kind of know what orcs are about, you know what kobolds are about, you know, dragons.
Yeah.
You eventually learn about the blood war, demons and devils, and how they're different.
And the thing is, even if you don't over your time as things, you kind of have to rely on the DM and asking them questions about it, right? Because it's really the DM's job to then go, oh, you want to know a little bit more that I can tell you that you would know generally? Absolutely, I can do that. And then you would be informed.
Would know that blank.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not even, like, you don't even need to research this shit on your own. You can also, like, know it from general stuff that your DM can say, like I said. So, I feel like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because whatever the DM is putting in front of you and then whatever they explain to you, as long as, you know, it all gels, then it's like, yeah, this makes sense. This is fine. This is how it works.
Yeah. This makes sense in the universe.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. A few things.
Really anything to not listen to.
just for a little while.
Yeah,
also,
just
a
for a
meme has
bit.
been created.
Oh boy. Is it what I asked for?
It is.
Hey.
It's pretty good.
We love it. We love to see it.
We do love to see it. We do
God
love to
damn
see
it.
it. Thank you.
Ugh.
Pizza Funk.
Very good. Yep.
Appreciate
That's
that.
excellent.
Super good. All right. So, let's see. So I do a good picking a video? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
It goes without saying that other gods would care, but not all gods need to talk to the party. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Usually the meme breaks can enhance a point, but if I'm being honest, his meme cut away.
Meme cutaways.
Oh, cutaways, yes. Only serve to hide his point of view. Too many of these gods are not my gods. Yes. Yeah, he's just kind of putting in these things that are just like, oh, okay, yeah, but he only has the one point that he's really trying to bolster with obfuscating it, really. Which is annoying. Yeah. Too bad Aiden is missing. Yes, I agree. He also should be suffering, but he will not.
Yes, he should.
A lot of humans liked Populous, just saying. True.
Populous?
The God game. That was the original God game that created the genre. Populous.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was Peter Molyneux before he went crazy.
Oh.
Yeah. Before he was like, oh, I made Fable 1. Guess what? You will watch a tree grow in real life.
Yeah.
In real time. It was before he went.
Shame.
If I remember correctly, it was Peter Molyneux. I think it was. Anyway. If the paladin only follows one deity, then yes, only one god matters. That is sort of the point. If you want more connection, or if you want more, connect more to the party / story. Yes.
Wouldn't that be really funny if you were running a game and you had paladins or a paladin who like worshipped a god or, you know, like one or two gods, and then you never got to speak to them or see them? That would be hilarious.
Be kind of disappointing, really.
Right? That'd be such a fucking dick move.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna cuck you and you're just never gonna see or hear from your god.
Yeah, really.
Oh, that'd be fucking funny. As a DM, that'd be hilarious. As a player, I would feel like, what the fuck? What are we doing here? Why did I make this character?
Exactly.
Somehow, The last one is that 3 or at most 5 of them were involved, and this is only reserved in a campaign that is literally about gods. Either each member of the party is somehow connected to one, or the main conflict of the campaign is about gods not getting along, which is 99% of what gods, not just in D&D, but in any polytheistic system do.
True.
The other gods that were presumably also there were just never seen. They didn't have that much to say, I guess. Maybe they were shy. Did I get it right though? Was any of those what you experienced? You owe me, I don't know, a cookie if I did. Okay, I'll get to it. Here's the thing I'm getting at. Gods, as they stand in D&D, are like a constant and ever-present source of plot contrivance. First up, what is a plot contrivance? I'm not a massive fan of the word plot hole. It's one of those words that used to mean something and now it doesn't because it has
No, it
permeated.
definitely still means something.
So it super means, well, I agree with him to a point of people seem to have misunderstood what a plot hole is and seem to downplay it to such a degree that they will just go and say, oh, you're just nitpicking whenever you're saying something instead of saying that there is a plot hole or something. Like it's unfortunate that this seems to be how things are going, but that is something that is a problem.
That is happening. That is unfortunate because, like, as a writer, I can tell you plot holes are real and they're scary.
Well, as anybody, you should be able to tell anybody that, right? Because, like, doesn't matter if you create
I'm just
or
saying
anything,
that as
you know?
someone who has written himself into a plot ditch.
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, for sure.
That sucked.
So, like, yeah, there is a problem there, but I don't know if that's what he's going for. We'll see, I guess.
Here's hoping, because that at least makes sense.
Wider word sphere, and everything that isn't explained to the audience like they are 5 is a plot hole. Which
Okay,
I love
yeah.
this. I love
So
this.
that's another route, yeah, for sure. Of like, oh,
Yes, okay,
no
that's
inferences exist. It's like, okay, well, yeah, you're right. Some people seem to not see the inferences, and they say, oh, there's a plot hole there, and it's like, well, no, if you pay attention to the thing you are consuming, then you could make some assumptions here and there, that are valid assumptions. If you're writing the story for them, then there's a problem, yes. But if you are going, oh, there's a kitchen, I assume there is a table in that kitchen, then I would go, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, right?
You know?
So much. I love it when in movies people explain everything to me because people can't just assume things now. It's so fun. Anyway, a plot contrivance is just a thing that feels a touch too convenient. Yes, if our heroes need to do a daring escape, it is possible that someone left their car unlocked
there it
and
is.
the keys in the ignition so they can get away safely. That's a possible thing that could happen, but just because it's possible, it doesn't mean it's not contrived. Even things that are explained in the narrative can feel like a plot contrivance. If I tell you that in this horror movie that takes place on a dark road or something, no one has signal, it doesn't matter how many times the characters go, oh my god, my phone has no signal. It still feels mighty convenient that it just so happened to be that way.
I agree. And again, we have to then also go around that contrivance or convenience, because we have to say, is this a convenience that they have made or a contrivance they have made because it is possible, or is this a contrivance they have made in order for the plot to happen? Plot contrivance in that way, of course, but like literally you have to look at the surrounding aspects for sure.
Yeah, because in other cases it can be completely fine.
Yes,
and it's not
for sure.
Like you can still categorize it as a plot contrivance.
Yes,
and you can still feel about it that way, but sometimes they are really not that bad.
No, exactly. There are some plot contrivances that we all understand and accept. Because they are like, yeah, okay, this is absolutely here in order for the story to move forward. It's possible, but it is still a contrivance. Like,
yes,
and I wish there was a way we could tighten it up. There's probably a way to tighten it up, but it works.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's just how you consume and think about media and other things critically. That's all.
Trust me, dude. I've been watching the most recent season of My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
I know plot contrivances. Holy fuck, that show got bad.
Oh, did it? Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oof. I used to like that show in the beginning. God, it's so trash.
I remember
now.
when everybody was talking about it, and I haven't heard a peep for a very long time.
Because it got bad.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I figured. Either that or it just, like, I don't know, somehow fell off to the point, you know?
Yeah, it got real fucking bad.
So, yeah.
It's sad. It's so sad.
For
it started
sure.
so strong.
Oh, for sure. I get you. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
A plot contrivance. So why do I say that gods in D&D as they are set up right now are just a constant source of them? Because, and you might have picked up on this if you were a true detective with my extremely subtle hints at it, there are just too many of them. D&D has a god infestation, and it only keeps getting more and more bloated. Practically everything has its own dedicated god, to the point where gods share domains and they rule over the same thing, making it doubly confusing and doubly silly. Like, do we need these many sea gods and sun gods and moon goddesses? Do we? And I'm not even talking about—
You didn't, so you've said these many, and you never gave us any more than just 2 examples of Shar being darkness, and Saloon being darkness, and then you had Primus, who was 1 over 1 thing, and then you had Umbra whatever.
Umberly.
Yep, Umberly, who is, you said, oh,
A bitchy sea god.
a bitchy sea god, but then you didn't give us any other examples. You
Yeah.
said that there are more, but you haven't given us more as, like, again, a list format or anything. That really would have strengthened it. Really would have.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe make your point better. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be nice? But that's not something he does.
Not when he's going after a problem that doesn't exist, no. Because it's a
Yeah.
problem that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I don't think the gods are the problem. I don't think the dragons are the problem. I think it's Pointy Hat that's the problem.
Well, it's literally, like, again, if it is something that bothers him personally, that's fine. He's accounted for it, and he's taken actions to make it not a problem for him. Great. Good. Again, don't put it as a blanket, there is a problem here for all of us, you know? I've never played a game in which the paladin or cleric got to talk, commune, or meet with their god. Really? Ever?
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Hey.
Yeah.
Usually when I think of a paladin who is actually worshiping a god, I would probably give them some opportunity to do it if they pursued that.
Yeah. Exactly. Like,
but I guess I never really considered a paladin who just wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah. You can have many deities without the story being about deities. Just put more in. Am I going crazy? Well, you know, what his point is less the fact that there are a lot of them. It's more the fact that there are a lot of them and not all of them seem to be giving a shit. Which we've already gone into, you know? Like,
yeah. And you know what the problem is with art? There's just too many paintings.
I agree.
Just too many.
Get them out of here.
We only need, like,
3.
I mean,
Like,
look at how many fucking things Bob Ross painted. We only need 1 mountainside.
That's right.
Christ. We only need 1 forest. Come on. There's too many. This is just another forest. What's the difference?
I don't think his example is the strongest here. The contrivance examples? Yeah, no, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really fully gone into it yet because he's basically like, oh, they're full of they are contrivances. Why? Well, there's so many, and then we've kind of cut it off here.
No, it's even before that talking about plot contrivances. Like, he hasn't really gone into good ones, really.
Yeah.
So, like,
true.
It's fine. It's fine. Did My Hero Academia outrun the source material? That tends to be when they go bad. That's a good question.
From what I'm aware, I'm not sure. Not from what I've heard.
Okay.
Essentially what happened is, there's I want to say it's either season 6 or season 5 where the villains start doing a lot of like insurgency, like war type shit.
Sure.
And it's basically like a war between the police and heroes and the villains. And it just got to the point where there are just the characters, the heroes are being so stupid that the only reason the plot is continuing is because people are being fucking stupid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let me put it to you this way. the entirety of season 6 and season 7 would not have happened if one person decided to kill the one guy they knew they had to stop. And you literally had him dead to rights. He was unconscious. He had the ability to just break his neck, and he didn't do it for no reason.
Good. Always
the guy
good.
was unconscious, completely defenseless, and they knew what he could do.
Oh god, that's even worse.
It's fucking awful.
That's
dude.
literally. I'll bring up a Star Wars example because I know of it. There's literally the same thing that happens in that Kenobi show that they made, where they literally, and I don't give a fuck about spoilers for this, they literally made it because they wanted to have Obi-Wan Kenobi fight Darth Vader. They really wanted to have that, so they contrived this whole fucking thing that happens for, it's the stupidest thing in the world, but they fight at the end, and he has him dead to rights.
Wait, who has who?
Kenobi has Darth Vader.
Oh my god.
Dead to rights. And he just walks away.
Fucking of course. God.
Because the story that's already happened has to happen. And it's like, no, you don't realize what you've done. You have made it so every atrocity that has happened after this point is his fault.
Now it is his fault.
You have destroyed the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi entirely. Good job. As if you didn't before, but like, good job, you've finalized it. You've put the nail, the final nail in the coffin.
Oh my
anyway,
god.
So there's another example for you.
Yeah. And it got to the point in My Hero Academia, this is the last time I'll talk about it. This is the toward like the end of that whole like war arc. There's basically like a big fight that's going on in a mansion or whatever out in the woods, and there's a guy whose name is Hawks, and he's like he's a superhero. He's got like wings and shit, and he can do stuff. But his whole backstory is that he used to be like a hero, like assassin. So he was employed to go after and kill really dangerous villains. That was what he did, because he's like super fucking fast and really powerful, because he can turn his feathers into a pair of swords that will kill you. He's pretty neat. And the entire time, this guy, who is a hero assassin, literally an assassin, is standing there talking to a target that he knows he needs to kill. And he's just talking. And talking and talking and talking, and the whole time I'm the entire like quarter of the episode, the only 2 words that are coming out of my mouth are kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him.
Yep.
And he doesn't. There's no reason for it other than the plot needs to happen.
Of course, yeah.
It's fucking awful.
Oh,
it made me so angry.
You love it when you just see it flat out. You love it.
Yep, it's so bad.
Great stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm done.
Yeah, no, I get you. But I want more. I want lots of sea gods. Hat person. True.
Yeah.
That's
neat.
The only paintings we need are deer, mammoth, and lion. True.
Honestly, dude, I'll take the mammoth. That'd be fucking cool.
It's cool.
Sabertooth too, please. Thank you.
Plus, he does not understand gods in the same domain can do different things. Yes. So no, he does, but that doesn't fit the narrative that we're going for here. That's the problem. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, the DLC collab ones like Anubis or Loki, I'm not even gonna touch those. But why is that a problem? Well, it's complicated and complex, like a salad. Or my talent. Using even one god of the D&D pantheon directly implies that all others are also there. They also exist, you know, floating in the ether doing whatever gods do, which creates this weird thing where you gotta ask, why is only one god, or like 2 or 3, helping?
Where the hell have you been all this time?
There are a lot of other planets in the universe.
Either by empowering a
and I'm also a gigantic bitch.
That fucking, oh god. You're right, that is a problem, you're right. Yeah, there's... anyway, I don't want to go on that.
Down and dirty themselves by manifesting a small part of their power in the material plane. If the evil wizard _hyphen name is threatening to destroy the entire world as we know it,
okay, that was kind of funny.
Only the cleric's god helping. It seems like this god is down to give this random guy magic powers and premium best in slot swords and perform actual honest to god.
Yeah, I saw it was Symphonia.
No, that was Tales of Vesperia.
Oh, was it Vesperia? I thought
Fake fan.
Yeah, you're right. I only saw like the green, and like I'm half like my eyes blurred basically.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
I'm,
I
like,
saw
not
it because
even.
of the pink and also the
Yeah.
way she was swinging her sword. It was Estelle.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm a fucking nerd.
Um,
I see it for a fucking split second. I know exactly who it is and what game it's in. Fuck.
Using one god does not imply the existence of all others. Yes, I agree. That it's fine. It's fine if we're just gonna like.
I can understand why he thinks that.
I do too.
Because, like, if you're gonna be using a god that is specifically from that pantheon, and there's only the one, it does kind of raise the question as to where the others are.
But
because now you've established that god exists,
I guess,
and because that god only exists in that pantheon, most of the time anyway. It does raise that question.
But then I also, it's just because he didn't read the rules, or the books, so I literally just point at the sentence, and then go, "That's why." Thank you.
Yeah, like the thing is, for me, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I know.
If you want to use just Loki, go for it.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing. It doesn't matter that much. I understand that you want to use one thing. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I will ask a question, and when you say, at this moment, this is the only thing that is happening with this guy, and it's the only thing. And I go, okay. Because you have explained it to me, and I will accept your explanation until I get any contradictory evidence of you going, there's also this god later on. And then I go,
it's like, then you're like, but wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
now, if that is meant to be a dramatic reveal,
right.
Fine.
In which case, and then I have questions, you know?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you just are inviting questions in at that point, because then it's like, well, then, okay.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So, like, again, it's a whole thing of, like, we can do it this way or whatever, but it has to be consistent and make sense. That's all.
Divine intervention. Why are the others not helping? Is this god the only one that cares about the world? Why? Why are not the other ones doing anything, since there's 7,800 of these guys floating around snacking on prayers? And here's the thing, you can answer these questions, sure, but it often leads to you coming up with plot contrivance after plot contrivance to keep the gods in the god pen in order for you to tell your story. Or more commonly, you just don't address it and hope the players don't notice, and then inevitably someone will, and we have a "why don't the gods send us some eagles to go to Mordor" situation on our hands.
Yeah,
but it
but
doesn't
we
end
all
there.
know that that's a stupid argument that has like actual, like, everybody who keeps perpetuating that argument doesn't seem to understand or read what actually is like the reason. So it's fine. It's fine.
Nobody
it's
ever
bad.
gets it.
It's a bad argument. Let's continue.
Yep. It's funny how people keep making that despite the explanation having been around for so long.
Yep. Well, that's because it's a convenient one that just got memed, you know, just like the 4E thing of 4E bad. So, you know, it's great.
Memes.
It's really good. Sometimes they're great.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd like to help, but the popcorn won't eat itself. True. Yeah. I always assumed it was like a World War I, Cold War-like situation among the gods. If John Good Godman gets involved, then Kevin McEvildick will get involved, and many, many other gods would follow.
That's not a bad way to do it.
That's honestly fine, yeah. I'm fine with that.
That's kind of how I did it, actually.
That makes sense. So yeah.
Extremely hard to implement them in your campaign, because you either implement them and make your entire campaign revolve around gods, or you ignore 99% of them and focus on the ones you want to involve, which once again asks the question, why are the other gods too busy in the great casino up in the sky to do anything about this, while this one god the DM likes is out here busting his rear end to help these 4 weirdos save the world? It's also
you literally just explain it.
Yeah.
They're in the casino in the sky. They don't want to fucking do anything. It's fun.
Well, remember, he's completely against a contrivance in general, apparently. Which, like,
true.
I understand that mentality, and I'm fine with you trying to make it so that it's not a contrivance. Absolutely fine with that, because I think there's always a way that we can at least try to get to a point where it's not contrived. But, at the end of the day, contrivances do exist. And there's a scale of severity, right?
Yes.
So we can absolutely kind of go, oh, this is fine as a contrivance. So I'm not one or the other about it. It just depends on the situation. It's almost like it's not black and white in this aspect. It's crazy, I know, but there is
everything else in the world is black and white.
Oh, you're
at
right.
all
Wait a
times.
minute. Oh, fuck. I don't understand. Anyway, if the story is not about a deity, then they are not there. Was it that hard? Well, you know. Well, even if it's not about them, they could be there, but they're not involved. It's like they are busy doing other things. / they are like, nah, these guys have it in hand. It's cool.
Yeah.
You know, like... Also, you know gods can be aloof assholes that go, nah, I don't want to help right now. True.
Yeah.
True.
Hard to actually know gods and understand the lore because there's 1,000 of them.
You've played your hand. It's not the Wikia, it's the Wiki. You went on to Dungeons and Dragons Gods Wiki, and you went, look, wow. And guess what I've seen so far is one of them was for the 2nd edition that we've already passed. So you've got Monsters Mythology, which is all of these. Yeah, and there are a shit ton of gods of the elves. Wow, that's crazy. Whoa, look at all these gods of the orcs, because each of the pantheons for those guys is based off of their race. They have their own specific gods, and they exist in the world. But do they interact all the time? Not necessarily. And, like, as we continue on, the book Monster Mythology included over 100 deities for non-humans. There you go.
Damn.
That's a lot.
That's fucking cool.
Good for them. They have so much that they can use. Very cool. I just want to see...
Asks
Monstrous
the question, why are the
mythology.
other gods too busy in the great casino up in the sky to do anything about this, while this one god the DM likes is out here busting his rear end to help these 4 weirdos save the world? It's also extremely hard to actually know gods and understand the lore because...
Okay. The original edition of deities and demigods for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons had 17 gods.
Pantheons.
Oh, pantheons itself. Oh yeah, because they are going for every single pantheon that you might go for, in the sense of American Indian, Arthurian heroes, Babylonian mythos, all of, like, these are all the Cthulhu mythos. They literally are all there as examples that you can pull from if you want to do it that way, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and they do that still with less from this list, but they still do that in these current editions because they're like, hey, you want to play a game and you want it to be fucking Zeus and the boys? Go for it, you know?
God damn it. I know.
I'm thinking of I'm thinking of the Spider-Man villains meme where it's just Rhino and Electro and all of them in a line, and it's just Zeus and the boys.
Yeah, god damn it. I love it.
But like, literally, that's the point that they wanted to do. So I don't know, fucking do it.
There's 1,000 of them, which makes the game harder to play for newcomers.
And then we have 3rd edition. There are over 100 deities in the Greyhawk setting, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
You've got your core there, the intermediate, the greater, and all that.
Which isn't great either, and leads to some players at the table having a lot of knowledge.
Now, actually, you know what we need to do? I need to look at that page and look at 5th edition and just see what it says.
Which page about 5th edition?
The wiki.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Wikipedia.
I don't understand why when you see all this, you know, it's like, oh, I wonder how many gods there are. You know, you look in and you look into all the gods and you're like, holy shit, there's a lot. Why is your immediate thought, my new players will never be able to parse all this?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you immediately assume that just because you have a god or gods in your game, that players are going to want to know every single god and then be overwhelmed when they learn that? Why is that even a thought in your head?
Exactly. I do wonder. All right.
That is just weird.
Yeah. 5th edition. Let's see. These included the deities from the Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, Dragonlance, and Eberron, and the deities derived from historical pantheons such as Celtic deities and Norse deities. Dungeon Master's Guide later provided the Dawn War deities. Okay, that's what I was looking at before. As a sample pantheon, excuse me, an updated version of the main pantheon from 4th edition.
Hey.
These updates, it's almost like you liked 4th edition. I know it. You did when you played 5th edition. It's crazy. These updates included readjusting some of the alignments because 5th edition returned to the previous schema of 9 alignments, as well as adding suggested cleric domains for the available domains from the player's handbook and DMG. And so you go through, and there's a few of them. They're from the Forgotten Realms themselves, or Greyhawk, or Dragonlance, which has their good, neutral, evil that are actually put here. Then you've got Eberron with the Sovereign Host and the Dark Six and the other faiths. I do remember
Sovereign
those.
Host? That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's a
they're
cool
all the
name.
goody goodies, and then you have the Dark Six, who are the baddie baddies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then your
That's
non-humans, it's a lot. There is still a lot here for this current edition, but they're broken up into sections of different things. And again, in those places, when I looked at 3.5's deity and demigods thing, and in the 5th edition one, they were like, "Hey, guess what? Hey, guess what you can do? Why, you, Mr. DM man, you can.
Oh my god.
You can build
Me?
the Pantheon.
Me?
Yeah, you. You can
I'm
build
pointing at my chest right now. Me?
Yes.
You talking to me?
Yeah, you can build the Pantheon however the fuck you wanna.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So,
I was so worried that I had to use all 3,000 gods that have ever been printed in every book that's ever been written
you
about this
fucking idiot. Why did you think that? Stupid.
I have no idea.
You stupid.
I literally have no idea
Exactly.
why I would ever think that.
I also have no idea. Good for you.
Thank you very much for clarifying that I don't have to think that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really fucking crazy.
Ridiculous.
Alejo's really good at finding stuff in the background. It's because I'm watching these things actively. I do nothing but watch the videos when we do the show. Like that is my burden to bear.
It is. Don't worry, I do definitely watch at times.
No, I know. It's not to say anything about anybody, obviously. It's literally just this is I put myself in this position and I'm fine with this. Imagine being a human when you have gods throwing mountains at each other. True.
Yeah.
Good reason not to get involved. Indeed. Good point, Boo. Does Pointy Hat think his players can't handle too many things? It's a good question. But also, literally, it's like he looks at the entire list and then goes, but that means I need to include everything. And it's like,
Yeah, that's like, why would you ever think that? I don't look, there's there's quite a lot of monsters and gods and things, in Call of Cthulhu. I don't want to use them all.
No. Hell,
because
most of the
that
time,
would not that would not be good.
No, and most of the time you just want to use like specific things or things that you make yourself.
Exactly. Like I don't understand why. Well, how should I say this? Let's take superheroes for an example.
Sure.
Let's take Superman.
Okay.
I love Superman.
Superman's
He's a great.
cool.
He's great.
Yeah.
I love Superman. This is not an indictment against Superman.
Sure.
If I'm writing a superhero story in the DC universe, I don't really think I want to have Superman be a part of it.
Sure.
Why? Because he's Superman. I kind of want to have something be a little bit. I want to do something different than using the poster boy for DC.
Yeah.
Because he's fucking Superman. What can I say about Superman that hasn't been said by people who are way more talented than me? In addition, if I'm going to write a Call of Cthulhu story, I don't really want to use Cthulhu. Not that he's not great. I like Cthulhu. He's great. But it's Cthulhu. That story has been told masterfully. I can't add anything to that. I don't even want to try. So, if I have a god, I don't want to use the same god. I don't want to use, Moradin. I don't want to use Chiral and Lorethian because the stories about them have already been told. They've already been used in so many things. What would be the point?
I don't necessarily agree with that kind of aspect of it, because you can still tell different stories with the same thing. It's not like there isn't an infinite amount of stories that you could tell.
I know, but it's just, I'm not sure what it is. I just don't feel like I could do it well, and so I don't even want to like try it.
That's a fair
I might include him as a
do.
cameo, but he's not going to be like the important thing. It's like Asmodeus. I didn't want to tell the story with him. I wanted to tell the story with somebody else.
Sure.
And I wanted to tell the story with my own like god monster thingy.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So
no, I get that.
It's just weird.
I don't subscribe to the idea that you can't, like, there is no point. That is something that I wouldn't ever put forward.
That's fair.
Like
that's just a thing. That's a thing for me.
I get that. And I understand the thought behind it. I get what you mean by it. But like looking, it's a great. Honestly, so using Superman is a great example, because it's like Superman. If you don't want to use him, especially for a comic book, you can just do that, right? And that's fine. Like, people, unless you put it in a situation where somebody goes, oh, but Superman, though. Like, there are specific situations where I would go, oh, but Superman, though. Because they do that a lot with, like, the TV shows and shit that they've done, right? Where they've tried to make it like the comic books, in the sense of creating this big universe, and then you go, But where's Superman, though? Because you unfortunately are in this universe where he do exist. So
and Superman kind of fixes the problem
a lot of the time,
unless he's busy.
Exactly, unless he is really busy, and you actually tell me that he's really busy, so that I can at least go, okay, you have given me a reason at least, whether or not it's a good reason. You have given me a reason.
That is something.
Yes.
And something at least moderately believable.
Yes.
Like, Brainiac is doing some shit.
He's doing some fucking shit. Exactly. So then I can go, okay, Superman no here. Understood. But it's literally one of those things where you just have to kind of, you can do it. You just gotta give me something. That's all.
Yeah. You just have to put a little bit of effort into telling me why it's not happening.
And again, we've talked about it, and I get that Pointy Hat's completely against contrivances. That's fine. That is a perspective you can have, but there are some that we can allow. It is okay. Yes. Because I'm sure that, like, in a lot of our favorite media, there are contrivances that we could point out quite easily, but then we could go, but I'm okay with that. Right?
One of my favorite contrivances, now that I'm thinking about it, is fucking the part in Hot Fuzz where the guy, they confiscate all the guy's guns, and at the end of the movie when he goes back to get all the guns, they just happen to all be loaded. They happen to have all the ammo for all those guns.
Yep, exactly.
Even though they're probably like super old, they're just sitting in a barn, they're probably fucking rusty and broken and shit. But no.
No, it's fine.
Love that movie to death.
That movie is a great movie. The whole Cornello trilogy is pretty good, to be fair.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I got that whole trilogy on 4K so that I could just have it at any time.
Oh,
yeah, I'm so happy about it. Actually, I ordered one copy of it and I got two for some reason. So now I have two copies of it.
Coming soon.
I could. Anyway, yeah, so let's see. Me, senpai? True. 3,000 gods across how many worlds? Yes, that too. I'm using the 3 dragon gods in my way. Yes. I wish people would use Ghost Rider more. I agree.
Dude, Ghost Rider's fucking cool.
Also, all the deities in both D&D and real life are in my world. Will I use them all? I don't know, but I got them. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's fine. Absolutely fine.
And some having none. So what do? Well, I know this might be a very unexpected solution. Please do not gasp too loud as you experience the shock of your life. Just put less gods in there. Take them out, keep your faves, and throw the other ones away. or
That's what the book says to do, my guy.
Motherfucker.
Are you kidding me? Okay. Wow.
make some of your own. Store-bought is fine, sure, but you can't just make gods. You have that power. Seize it. I know, revolutionary, surprising. Please use the word brave when describing this incredible revelation in the comments. But okay, hear me out because there's more to this. First off, if you don't want to do this, I know it's hard to believe, but you don't gotta. If you care about canon and you don't like
So I'm sorry, how do you put that forward when you also say there are so many fucking gods in D&D, and if you use one, it implies that you have to have everybody else? How can you also have the, but if you don't want to do what I'm talking about, you don't have to do this? How do you, like, have both of those in your brain?
What the fuck is this?
Do you not understand that I could also point at you and say, but you don't gotta? With the whole, there are 3,060 million fucking D&D gods. You don't have to use all of them. Because you've also just said you don't have to. That's crazy.
I don't like this, man.
It's just a bad video.
This is trash.
Yeah.
and waving why the 78,000 gods are not coming down to play, or picking some clerics to do it for them, or if you don't care about making up contrived reasons as to why they're not, that's perfectly fine. But here's the thing, you do not need a video to tell you that. You know who needs a video? The people that want to make their own. Exactly. Funnily enough, gods are pretty easy to just remove from the fabric of D&D and replace with newer, shinier gods. Literally no class needs them, not even the cleric, which can apparently worship domains themselves.
Yes.
Somehow. But guess what? You also don't need my video to commit deicide. Or I guess you do, if you want to commit deicide and put some new gods. So let's see how we go about making
we
new
most
ones to
certainly
not run into the
do
problems
not.
outlined above.
Like, legitimately, okay.
This is so bad.
The whole point of your video was to make it so that people could create gods, is what you're saying. You're making this for people who want to create gods. The whole first part of your video was not for those people.
It was for no one.
It was for you. Yeah, exactly. It was for you yourself. That was it. Which, I am fine with you making a video for yourself and putting it out there on the internet. But when you make a video for yourself and then say, everybody has, this is a problem, everybody. We need to fix this problem. We, together, we're having a problem here. We're having a problem here. It's crazy. It's like, oh, okay.
We're gonna make our own pantheon.
Cool. I'm fine with this.
I made two methods because I felt like it.
Cool.
1. Make many and make them less powerful. Yes, that's right.
Why?
This first one is essentially to make a ton of gods. But Pointy, didn't you just say that one of the problems was that there were too many gods? Let me cook. Okay, so yes, there are too many cooks in the D&D kitchen. But if you want a ton of gods, there is a way to do this. A good way to make your own pantheons, and basically anything else, is to stop looking only at fictional examples and start looking at how actual religions have their pantheons set up in real life. Animism is the belief that everything has a soul, from plants.
This is in the book. Specifically, animism is in the book.
Oh my god.
Did you really just take the book? You haven't even said anything about the DMG at all. This is in the DMG specifically. I showed it off.
Well, don't forget, no one reads it.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently,
Especially not him.
right?
Fuck.
No, he did. That's why he's made the video, because nobody's read it, and so he can put this forward. Like, legitimately, this is
Can we stop watching Pointy Hat, please?
No.
God. Oh.
To rocks, to animals.
I don't mean.
No, I
mean
know,
this
I
video.
know.
Obviously, we finished this one.
No, I have a second one from him.
Oh. This is like
pretty
Garibay, but nowhere near as fun.
No, it's
Fuck.
not at all like Garibay in the slightest.
No, I'm not saying it's like Garibay. I'm saying that the pain and oh
No, not
makes me feel.
not in the slightest, honestly.
For me, it is.
Weird.
God.
Like animist religion that is still in use, being practiced, whatever, is Shintoism. Shintoism hails from Japan and is both animistic and polytheistic. which means that they believe in several gods. That's what polytheism means. And
Yeah,
animistic,
thanks, we
which I
know.
already defined above. Pay attention,
It's
little...
fine. No, I'm actually fine with him explaining that as a concept, because not necessarily the people, like, people don't necessarily know what that means.
Boy, this
Fair, I guess.
will be on the test. The way this works is very different with how dweebs that went through a mythology phase as teens are familiar with, because those people mostly focus on Greek and Norse pantheons, but will be very familiar to dweebs that went through an anime phase instead. In Shinto, there are an innumerable number of gods, way more than in ancient Greece, and these gods can be gods of, like, the literal sun, but 99% of them are gods of, like, a specific tree, a specific mountain, a specific village. These gods are called kami and are worshipped at public spaces or at home, and only have domain over the thing they are a kami of. So over their specific rock, village, tree, mountain, cliff, storm, whatever. Okay, religion class done, tricked you into learning yet again. How do we put this in practice where it truly, really matters? Our little play pretend games. For our purposes, using this method would make gods relatively common in our world, and most of them would be very much not that powerful. A god of a specific tree might literally die if you cut down their tree, or turn into a vengeful god of that dead tree. If you free the mountain that a specific god rules over of a demonic presence, the god in question...
Alright, yeah, so this is a way to do it. I'm skipping forward.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a way to do it. It is in the DMG. Very cool. What else you got?
Because there's 2 guys to keep away from the world, not 700.
Okay, yep. Let's keep going.
A ton of stuff. Baseline stuff like life and death, but also stuff like forge, nature, order, and graves. Okay, how do we go about this? Do we just randomly cram one of each domain in these 2 gods? No, because that would lead to them being very thematically inconsistent and therefore boring and bland and bad. We're gonna do aspects. The aspect of a god is basically the idea that one god can manifest itself in different ways to embody a specific part of that god. In Greek mythology, these are symbolized by an epithet, literally just adding a thing at the end of the name to point out that this is a different aspect of the same god. Aphrodite Pandemus, the people's Chad, versus Aphrodite Urania, the holy Volsel. This sounds complicated until you realize it's literally how the religion of the 7 is set up in Game of Thrones. People worship one god who has 7 aspects, and each of these aspects rules over a specific domain, but they are all aspects of the same god. That's how we're gonna fix this 2-god problem. Okay, let's get...
Okay, so that's basically the 2-god thing that he had as well. Is you take the 2, they have different aspects, but they all are over different domains. That's it.
Yeah.
Which, again, another way to do it, absolutely. Nothing to really go over other than this is the way that it works. Okay, neat.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it, really.
That is an option.
I assume this next bit here, yeah, this is gonna be just his thing that he made. So if you want to look at that, go watch it yourself. I actually am fine with not watching the rest of this video. That's fine. Because again,
it's
like,
very rare.
Well,
That's very rare.
It's because there's nothing else here.
It's true.
There's literally nothing else here that I can go, oh, no, or oh, yes, because this is literally just, yeah, you can do it these 2 ways, and this is your own thing. If, again, the link will be in the description. I highly encourage you to go watch the end bits of, like, his own custom stuff, because that sounds interesting, and if you need any ideas as to how the polytheism of Shintoism works, or if you want anything like the aspects thing, he'll probably explain it in a pretty alright way. So those are things that could be of value to you if you want those. Link in the description. Otherwise, there's nothing else here for us. Because the whole main point of the argument is over. Too many gods. Yeah. That's it. Wow. Yep. Amazing. We've already talked about it to death.
Yeah.
Pointy hat.
It did not need to be 34 minutes.
It did not.
It could have been 20.
It really could have been. It could have been less than that, really.
Yeah, it really could have been.
But that's what we got. Anyway, let's see.
What a shame.
I'm 2-0 with my videos that melt my bros' minds. True.
Quit that. Stop it. Recommend something fun.
Somehow you just devote yourself to the principles that the domain represents. That's not hard to understand. Yeah, I know, right? Instead of worshiping a god, you worship the principle, basically the domain itself. Yeah, exactly. It's really easy to kind of conceptualize, but whatever.
Yeah.
I love the use of the Fire Emblem Cleric as a point because magic users in Fire Emblem don't get their powers from gods. Most iterations of Fire Emblem characters never get anything from the sparse few gods. There you go. It was just a cleric, so he had to use something that said cleric. It's fine. Shintoism rules. Shintoism is very cool. Like I've said before, Mushishi is one of my favorite anime of all time, and it uses Shintoism in a very cool way.
I remember you talking about that before.
Yeah, so go watch Mushishi, please. Garibay is too busy making his real-life pantheon. True.
Yeah.
Garibay is an elder god spewing cursed knowledge. Pointy Hat is a television preacher for a megachurch. Ooh.
Oh!
That's a good one.
That's great.
Very good one. But again, he does hit every now and then with other things when there actually are issues. Because, like, he has a video on the Ranger and, like, improvements that we could do to it. And I immediately go, oh, there's probably some stuff here. Yeah. Because the Ranger itself in 5e, base 5e, was
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So, like, things
now,
like that.
My question, I'm very curious as to what his solutions would be.
Exactly.
Considering what his solutions are in these videos.
It's a good question. Exactly. So yeah, that's maybe another one for another time, but that one might actually be something interesting.
We can at least hope.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
One deity doing everything is boring, and I didn't like it in Game of Thrones either. I don't remember. Oh, what's his face?
Yeah, Jesus is fucking boring.
The fire. Yeah, exactly. But no, that's the thing. I don't think it is, I don't necessarily think it is. But if you do, that's fine. It really just depends, right? It depends on how it's presented, really. But anyway, so that's that video. We're gonna move on to the second one, which is fixing D&D dragons by making them warlocks, also by Pointy Hat. Yeah. There might not be a lot here. We shall see.
How long is it?
It's 20 minutes. Only 20 minutes. Only 20 minutes. All right. So we've got fixing D&D dragons by making them warlocks. Here we go.
Sure. Remind me what warlocks do again?
Warlocks, they make pacts with patrons, get power from them and all that.
Yes.
They're pretty fucking
I genuinely kind of forgot. I've never actually played a warlock. I genuinely forgot.
Fair enough. Yeah, so this is probably... So I took this video because I was searching through some stuff, and it came up in my recommended when I looked at the other one, and I went, this one's only 2 months old, which is interesting. And I don't know how old the dragons one was, but I assume he's going to go over a few of the same points of dragons don't do enough or something. Which literally everyone was like, no, that's wrong, but cool dragons that you made. That's neat.
A cool story, bro.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally, I remember Aiden showed us that from the Reddits, which is a pretty good aggregate on the community as a whole at this point, I think. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it really is.
But
for better or for worse.
Yeah, exactly. So but yeah, most people were like, dragons are fine though. So
yeah, I'm glad. I hope he got roasted.
Oh, he probably didn't get roasted. They probably just like, no, but to be fair,
I'm sure somebody roasted him.
Oh, I'm sure a couple of people.
We roasted him.
We did.
What am I talking about?
Exactly. What are you talking about? Exactly.
Yeah, I forgot that that's literally our job sometimes.
Warlock is, in my opinion, the easiest class to make a character around. Dragons are the most iconic D&D monster, being, half the title of the game. But are they the most interesting monsters to make adventures around? Not really. So how about we combine them? I'm Antonio D'Amico, this is Pointy Hat, and we're about to do just that in this brand new episode of Drag On Race. Yes, it's time for me to mess with dragons a little bit more. If you're new or you need a refresher, this is a series on this channel where I take a dragon, a class, and mash them together until something comes out. A warden dragon. What is a warden dragon, you ask? Well, let me tell you, disembodied voice that sets up segues in the scripts I write. Warden dragons are a Pointy Hat original monster that was meant as an answer to problems that tend to arise with the baseline D&D dragons.
Only in your games, but yes.
Yeah, in your games.
I was gonna say, let's just remember that.
Get that out of the way.
That all of the problems that he did. Please go watch our episode on it. It's got a big dragon on the fucking thumbnail. And literally it's just he has problems with dragons for some reason that don't exist. So,
Yep.
And then he
has problems with dragons because he didn't read the actual lore on the dragons.
Exactly. He didn't do any research, it seems, on the dragons, even though he did. So he then had problems with them that he made up, basically. And then he made up a thing to replace them of these dragons, which they're neat, but
they're furry dragons, which
they're neat in their concept, but at the same time, there was no problem here. So you just kind of made dragons, which is neat. Okay.
Yeah, because dragons are neat.
Yep.
Warden dragons get their power by growing their horde, which in their case is people. So instead of hanging out in the middle of nowhere, not influencing the plot that much, Warden dragons tend to be the leaders of massive communities, like universities, gangs, and other groups of people. Warden dragons look very distinct to what—
I am impressed with the fact that he is not saying, go watch my video on this, and he is actually giving the thing. I'm fine with it. Because I am glad that I don't have to go and watch that video again if I wanted to know. First off. Second off, it's just good form to just inform about something to a degree that makes it so that you are aware of it. And then probably later on he'll say, if you want more detail, go watch this. Which I would be like, yeah, great, good, thank you. You know, it's one of those things of you don't necessarily need to watch a different video in order to understand this video. Which is
rare pointy hat dub.
Yes.
Not having to watch one of his videos.
Oh, yeah. I want to be a warlock in service to a dragon. Never thought about making the dragon a warlock. Could this be a pyramid scheme? Yes. I prefer to believe that the dragon is Maleficent's true form. True.
Another, going with a specific animal motif rather than their main difference being the color of their scales and what Pokemon type they are. And from an actual running the game perspective, Warden Dragons are based on specific D&D classes, and their stat blocks reflect this by having abilities based on the class they were based on. With Magus Dragons, the Wizard Dragons, being able to cast and learn new spells like Wizards, and Archon Dragons, the Sorcerer kind, their stat block is in that video now, having access to meta magic. So those are Warden Dragons, but if we're gonna go ahead and make a new one, we should look into existing D&D Dragons. And since there are 5,000 of them, and I already made a video with a basic overview, what if we zero in on one? But which one? It'll do. Okay, Dragon Primer. We're talking about silver dragons. So, silver dragons are silver, and they are...
Oh, he's doing it again. Oh, he's doing it again. Just
I want to slap this man in the face.
Nothing, literally nothing burger, because he's literally just saying, oh, they're just the color, and also they're a dragon, and it's like, okay,
nothing about the personality, nothing about where they live or how they.
Same exact thing. You know what? I expected this from his descriptions of dragons in the first video, so can't really say that I'm surprised.
I'm not surprised, but fuck, it's still goddamn annoying.
Ugh. Wait, why am I doing this? Familiar, Dragon Primer. Now. Hi guys. I cut my hair without my permission? Yeah, whatever. Dragon Primer, Silver Dragons. I read a whole bunch about these guys, so let's go. Silver dragons are metallic dragons, which means their scales are metal, which means they are good. Why? No correlation. That's just how these guys are set up. As we explained in the original dragon video, dragons in D&D are extremely tied to the alignment rules, which you know the hat loves. So these guys are nice because they're made of jewelry. Good, good. Looks-wise, they suffer from what all other D&D dragons suffer. Other than the color of their scales, there's just not much to differentiate these guys.
I read a lot about them. I proceeds to say nothing about them. All right.
Yeah.
So you didn't read a lot about them, is what you're telling me. Awesome.
Either that or nothing stuck.
Apparently.
F to all the colorblind warriors in the comments. A big deal is made about how frilly they are, but like,
what?
I mean, I guess, like 90%
oh my
of these
god,
have
are you
frills, but sure. I found somewhere that they smell like rain, which is weirdly intimate detail that you guys can use for...
I'll be right back, I'm gonna use the restroom.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm just going, I'm lying, I'm going to escape, but yeah, I'll be
right
back.
I understand. Warden dragons are the dragon lords from the Tharkir plane in Magic the Gathering. Oh, probably. But any dragon can run a group, not just the ones he made. Cornell is the king of a country. Cough. Ahem. That's true. He makes things way too simple. Yes. Wait, why'd he stop being a hat? You can't just stop being a hat for no reason. No. This is the joke. This is his familiar. It's not him. It's just... It's his servant.
Things? You sickos. A big deal is also made about how smart they are, but the adult one has the exact same intelligence as gold dragons, and as bronze dragons, and as blue dragons. Wow, these guys really are not distinct in the stat block department, huh?
Oh, Jesus, it's not all about the stat block, and also, you can be intelligent in different ways. It's fine. Let's just forget about it, I guess.
Anyway, the text does say that they're particularly smart, so there's that. An interesting tidbit, though, is that despite being classified as good, they are less of a superhero dragon than gold dragons and other metallic dragons, who apparently are tripping over themselves to help citizens in need, Smallville farm boy style. Silver dragons instead prefer to languish somewhere and be asked to help, which mood, and then when someone does show up, they will proceed to help them, because they're good, because they're metallic. We love character complexity here. Just like we talked about green dragons specifically in the sorcerer dragon video, because they are sort of a twisted mirror of our warden dragons, in that green dragons collect people just for the fun of owning interns. We're going in on silver dragons because they actually prefer the company of people to the company of no company, I guess. Dragons just don't tend to hang out much. They repost introvert memes on 2010 Tumblr from their lairs about drinking tea or whatever it is you introverts do. I mean, I wouldn't know if I don't speak to at least 7 people a day.
Just read the fucking stat block and everything from the page, and that'd give me more than what you're doing here. You are just doing nothing for me, or anyone who's watching this video. You're just being nothing. So please, do anything. And maybe, I don't know, consider that they could act in different ways if they wanted to.
I will wilt and
or
die
if you want them to.
on the spot. Silver dragons like to take the form of a person, being one of the rare 5e dragons that can actually change into a humanoid form. Many people just believe this is a thing that all dragons can do, but nope, not in 5e. Only a very select number of powerful dragons can do cosplay, and silver dragons are amongst them. They are big into LARPing as people and love to be out there where the people are.
So before, when he said there's really nothing, like, when he was going kind of into it and then just saying, oh, there's nothing here, really, he's going into things that actually, like, matter to, like, the character of the dragon, so what the fuck are we doing, you know? I feel like I'm waiting for a punchline that's never coming. Yeah.
Quasimodo style. An interesting distinction here is that this doesn't mean that silver dragons see humanoids as equals. Silver dragons believe themselves to be much better than people, just like other dragons. And just like some articles of clothing I can think of. Stay on task, I don't pay you to sass me. You do not pay me! In my head, how silver dragons see people is very much like a rose quartz from Steven Universe type of vibe. They are fascinated by these little hairy animals and their tiny lives like someone studying wildlife is, and they like them enough, but the dragon doesn't see the people they live with as actual peers. Yes, this does conflict with the whole goody two-shoes dragon thing, but if you want to make these guys more interesting, it helps to push that boundary, a little bit at least. Okay, so the main difference between silver dragons and warden dragons is the same difference between green dragons and warden dragons. They both take an interest in people, but they do not gain power from hoarding them like warden dragons do. Silver dragons don't even hoard people.
Well, yeah, the dragons that you made specifically work the way that you made them specifically because you made them that way. Whereas the dragons in D&D don't do that because they weren't made to do that. So, yeah, cool, man. Pointing hat. I like complex things, but I act like nothing is.
At all. They hoard like relics of humanoid history, like a big lizard Little Mermaid.
I want to be where the people
Oh my god.
Humanoids are just their hyperfixation, not the literal source of their power. As a matter of fact, for how much is made about how much silver dragons are the socialites of dragonkind, living in the big city among the humanoid rabble like Gossip Girl lizards, there's also like a lot of text about how they live in mountains in the middle of nowhere. It makes it feel like the whole living with—
Oh, it's almost like there's, I don't know, different types of them with different personalities that might want to live either really sociably or alone in the mountains and really enjoy the company when people come by. It's almost like there's two different things that are going on here because the dragons themselves aren't stuck to one type of sociable. Like, they can be a loner, technically, but they're actually, like, good hosts when people come by because they're really sociable. I don't know. Anything?
With humanoids is more like a vacation or weekend activity. Like, they own a second residence in the city, but their actual home is in middle of nowhere, Colorado. There's even mention of silver dragons living amongst other silver dragons in clans, so I don't know, both and neither, I guess. Okay, so talking about—
Yeah, oh, it's almost— ah! It's almost like you can have dragons acting differently, but you have this guideline of what they're like, so that you can, I don't know, change it to work with that concept in mind. I don't know. Anything. Anything at all.
combat now, there's not much to differentiate silver dragons from, like, any other type of—
Who the fuck cares about the combat in this case? Sorry, my cat's just knocked a bunch of shit down. I gotta pick it up, but like, yeah, oh, they don't act any different than other dragons, except, you know, that, okay, maybe, I don't know, tactically, and in a way that, that has to do with, I don't know, them not necessarily, like, being combative, because they're sociable, so they might try to de-escalate a situation that, doesn't lead to combat beforehand, but then, oh, maybe, I don't know, you could then utilize them in combat, you know, basically the same as other dragons, because it works! Dragons are really good at combat. They fly around, they give you breath, and then they kill you that way. I don't know. Dragons are really effective. So, like, yeah, they don't act any different. Can they do both? Stop dumbing it down, please. Exactly. On first impression, the simple color-based names seem lazy. However, it is entirely possible these dragons got their names because that was the only thing that could have been identified at the time of their first sighting, mostly by a random farmer, hence green, blue, etc. Yup, true. I don't see how making them warlocks improves his perceived problems. I have no idea.
Dragon, they do have the ability to cosplay a person, but this is less of a combat thing and more of a reveal thing. Like, wow, who could have known that that was a dragon? Their Pokemon type is Ice, and they get 2 breath weapons instead of 1. Chromatic dragons are quaking. The first one is a minty fresh cold breath that does cold damage by freezing enemies, and the second one is a minty fresh cold breath that paralyzes by freezing enemies.
That's suspicious.
So guess what? You want to know what immediately comes into my fucking head when you say that? Oh, they're combat averse. They want to not kill. They can paralyze you instead of kill you outright. And if that doesn't work, then they still can kill you if need be. Again, you can take... You were worried! In the other video, you were saying that people can't seem to infer things. I'm making an inference just based off their abilities. Please also infer things based off of the stat block, and also the words that are written down.
Jury's still out on how these two are different, but they do have different mechanics, so it counts. Silver dragons end up being kind of scary in combat just because if you fail enough saves, you can end up frightened and paralyzed. Real talk, I'm very, very wary of stuff like this. You need to be careful when running stuff like this in combat. D&D is a game where it can take more than 5 minutes to get to your turn in combat. Nothing feels worse than waiting that long only for you to end up doing nothing because you're stacking up to 2 or more conditions. Be careful running this. It will feel bad. It will not be a hard fight. It will just be an annoying fight. Oh, and for all the talk about how much these—
Very well could be, yes. But not necessarily. And also, I assume you get saves every turn, so I don't know, man. And also, you have other people who could maybe get you out of the paralysis or any of these other things. Like, I don't know. It's fine. If you're fighting a silver dragon, something has gone interestingly, or your purpose was to fight a silver dragon, and you're a bad man, maybe. Or you're a good man, and you need to. I don't know.
These guys love flying. They have the exact same flying speed as any other dragon, so... yeah. They do get a wing attack as a legendary action where they basically turn into a helicopter and make people prone by batting their wings around, but... Yep, this is also a thing that all other dragons get. See what I mean when I say these stat blocks are not distinct? So those are silver dragons. They are the...
You can flavor them differently. That's the thing. The whole point of things that are similar but not the same is that you can, I don't know, add to them in personality. You can add to them in tactical usage. And again, infer from what they can do how they might act in a situation that is a combat or in a social situation. Like, it's not that hard to infer something that you seem to have said other people can't do. In my world, the offspring of red and blue dragons, for example, creates a mix of blue and red for the wormling, and if that one mates with a yellow one, the baby has red, blue, and yellow scales. That's neat. Might not be the best video to chase with Entropy's comment. Okay. I offered to check it over for her, but no, it'll be fine. My risky take and I took it. Sure.
Dream blood rotation dragon that is not like other dragons because they like to hang out with people, but not too much. They hoard museum pieces of other cultures, British style, because of their hyperfixation, and they use the refreshing taste of 5 gum as a weapon. Got it. Okay, enough. Primer done. We learned so much. Everybody say thank you to the human familiar. Thank you, human familiar. Now let's get back to actually cooking up our own dragon. So now that we have a clearer understanding on what your normal D&D dragons are, we gotta talk about where you usually find these normal D&D dragons. And that's in dungeons. Dungeon delving is not for the faint of heart, and many an adventurer has...
Welcome back. You've made it to the section where he's going to talk about his custom stuff, which actually might have something interesting.
Yeah, so what was the whole rest of everything else? Was it pretty much just the same
Bullshit is what it was. Yeah. It really is just, hey, did you watch the other dragon video? If you didn't, this is basically that again.
Wow, that's fucking
kind of
stupid.
it. Yep. So
he basically just remade the video, but condensed slightly.
And instead,
so
this time, instead of making it so that he made the custom dragons, he's now making dragons but warlocks. So it's different.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
God.
Has delved into a dungeon only to never emerge back to the surface. It almost feels like these are not really just old temples or literal dungeons that have been abandoned and overtaken by monsters. It almost feels like someone, somewhere, designed these to be a challenge for adventurers. Who? Well, you! If you get Delve, a guide to dungeons. That's right, Bob Worldbuilder, fellow YouTuber, and Aventier Games are back, and this time I'm with them. That's right, I contributed to this book. Cool. Delve brings you everything you could possibly need to make and run and play dungeons. You know, the first and the good part of Dungeons and Dragons.
All right,
and Bob has
calm
gotten
down.
Basically every D&D YouTuber to help him with this book. Genie D, Dungeon Dad, D&D Shorts, a bunch more, and moi.
Hey, that's cool that this is a whole thing. I'm glad that all of these YouTubers were able to get together and make a thing. That's neat. Go check it out.
Good for you.
Their own little ideas to the effort. I made a magic item for it, a hag's cauldron.
Cool.
Nobody's surprised. I'm nothing if not predictable. And it can empower the potions you put in it, provided you and 2 other friends start brewing it as you cackle around it, you know, for the witch vibes. But the meat of this book is its emphasis on dungeons. I've said before that dungeons are really, really fun, but also very challenging to actually make. And Delve helps a ton with this thanks to their dungeon design toolbox that actually walks you through making traps, hazards, and a bunch of other things.
You know, that is valuable because
that's neat.
The DMG and such, they try.
Yeah, they don't really do a whole lot.
They don't do it great as far as I'm aware. So
yeah,
but it is
not
there.
terrible.
No.
It's just not much.
I think Xanathar is added to it to add a bit of clarifications and stuff, but it's been a hot minute since I read that, so.
That, but it also just does the work for you with more than, listen up, 10 dungeons that you can just drop into your campaign easily. They call them plug and play for a reason, and if you want stats, I got them. More than 40 monsters, more than 40 traps, hazards, puzzles, and if you thought that this book was only for DMs, you fell into my trap. See, it's a thematic joke because it's a book about dungeons. Anyway,
Yeah,
there's
thanks.
a ton of subclasses, feats, and species for you players, and all of this is not just 5e. No, the book comes in 2 versions, one for D&D 5e and one for Shadow Dark RPG. For all of those that prefer Shadow Dark or want to give it a
Shadow
try.
Dark.
So
It's just another, it's just a different RPG.
Oh, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, I think it's more gritty if I remember right. I'm not sure.
You'd think it would have been like, it's not just D&D, it's also Pathfinder or something else.
No,
something
I'm fine with them promoting a different system that's like lower in the totem pole because, you know, they don't get
That is
enough
fair.
they don't get enough love most of the time.
Yeah.
if all of this sounds good, go ahead and click on the very first link in the description of this very video. The Kickstarter is live right now.
It's definitely past this at this point. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's already out probably at this point. I don't know. Or you could probably pre-order it through Kickstarter. Anyway, the link is in the description to the video so that you can go follow the link to the thing. Go for it. Or go on Kickstarter and find it yourself. I don't know. We're not sponsored. Fuck you.
No better time than the present to delve into the dungeon. And now that we've talked dungeons and dragons, let's get back to actually cooking up our own dragon.
Yeah, I would love to know.
So how do we do our warlock dragon? Well, we use the tried and true pointy hat monster making creation method. We distill the essence of both elements to make a monster that both feels like a warlock and feels like a dragon.
Okay.
I released a video on warlocks not that long ago. Y'all can watch that if you need more.
Oh,
of an
good.
in-depth
The
look on
problem with
that.
warlocks.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Another
I think-
the problem with.
I think he's just, that's his thing now. Of just
Yeah.
everything, the problem. It's like, all right, well,
Yeah.
I see your
Great.
clickbait and
Awesome.
I raise you up. I don't care.
Yeah.
Should, because it has a whole warlock subclass for free. And who is the patron of that subclass? Well, a dragon, of course. Warlock patrons are extremely powerful magic things. And isn't it insane that we haven't gotten a dragon warlock patron yet? I'm here to provide that.
Yeah, I do actually. I feel like we should have had an official, like, oh, this is a dragon for your patron. These are the things you get as a patron, as a warlock to a dragon. Yeah, I agree.
What about a dragon that is literally made exactly for that? That's right, I think the best way to make this Warlock Dragon feel Dragon-y and Warlock-y is to approach it from the patron angle. A dragon that makes deals with the members of its horde to keep them trapped as members of its horde. Its spellcasting should also feel connected to Warlock's premature ending way of spellcasting. Warlocks have very few spell slots, but they always cast at the highest possible level, so the dragon should embody that too. Cool, we have a direction for this dragon. Let's go ahead and make it. Warden dragons do not reproduce like other dragons. They do not
I like that art. That looks really cool.
Yeah, that's a neat one.
Yeah.
reproduce at
It's like
all. They select
illicit
a
dragon.
horde mate as their next incarnation, and then pass on their draconic essence, which transforms the chosen horde mate, often called the prince, into a dragon. Patron dragons, the warden dragons associated with warlocks, can only pass on their essence to someone who has already acquired a
Oh, that's interesting that you've made it so that they're made to be part of your other your warden dragons as well. So like they aren't just a warlock dragon, they are a warden warlock dragon. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I thought we would have something away from that at least at the moment, but it's fine.
Nope.
I assume that it would be easy enough to take it out of that and go, this is my warlock dragon. It's fine.
Yeah.
Uh
So the thing that's weird to me is that with this explanation, this doesn't sound like a warlock dragon. This sounds like a patron dragon.
yes, that's exactly what Draco Kraken was saying. It's not a warlock, it's a patron. Yep.
Yeah. So like, why are you calling it a warlock dragon?
Because that will get more clicks. It's a dumbed down understanding, not a clear one. For dragons, yes. Why does Pointy Hat disappoint me so? Oh, it's very easy.
sufficient amount of their power. A patron dragon builds its horde through contracts. First, they start small, granting a small part of their impossibly powerful magical abilities for smaller, shorter contracts. But magic, like all power, can be addictive. Just as Archon dragons, the warden dragons associated with sorcery, seek out the marginalized and societal outcasts to offer them a sense of community, patron dragons specifically seek out the hopeless, those that desperately need power and yet find themselves powerless. It's said that they can literally smell desperation, and that when they strike, they offer a deal that will make all their problems go away. Power that the potential horde mate could only dream of, in exchange for belonging to their horde.
Yeah, I'll let you make a bunch of like ink stuff, and then you can do whatever you want. Really, you just need to give me your soul. That's all. But it'll help.
That's all.
It'll
You
help.
ain't using it.
Yeah. What are you
Clearly
doing
you
with
ain't
it?
using
It's
it.
fine.
Look at you. Look at this guy. He ain't using his soul. Look at him.
If desperation doesn't push the person to join, the thirst for power will. And soon enough, the Warlock Dragon finds itself with its own horde, and its power grows with it. But a Warlock Dragon must be careful, as their source of power is not infinite. Whereas Sorcerer Dragons radiate power to those around them indiscriminately, Patron Dragons can choose exactly how much power they grant, to what individual, and when to take it away. But whenever they do grant power, that's some of their power that leaves the dragon's body and goes to the warlocks. They must walk the line between not giving enough of their power and losing their horde, and giving too much power to their warlocks and becoming powerless to defend themselves against outside threats. Some Warlock Dragons navigate this by fostering a specific feeling among their horde, complete and utter devotion. This is the reason why a Warlock Dragon's horde is often referred to as a cult. It's not uncommon for the members of a horde of a patron dragon to believe they worship not a dragon, but a god. And for good reason. The patron dragon is able to grant them impossible powers, and just as easily take them away.
Impossible? No, I know. It's fine.
These cult-like hordes understand that the only reason they have that power to begin with is because of their contracts, and because the patron dragon allows it. And so, those that seek more power often become almost religious in their devotion towards their patron. Those that show the greatest devotion to—
Alright, I'm bored.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more than bored.
I'm just seeing if there's anything at all.
Patron dragons are known for their ability to—
Okay.
latest family. They made their fortune running a particularly influential with the patron dragon. The patron dragon promises that Agatha will become used as a buff to a dragon's warlock is—
Alright.
So
that's that.
I really, how the fuck is this any different from a warlock doing a pact with the Great Old One? How?
The only difference is the dragon is there.
Yeah, the only difference is that the dragon is physically there, and apparently it is afraid of the people that it gives its power to if it gives too much of them.
It's afraid of outside threats, not the people themselves. It's afraid of like other dragons.
Oh, yeah, it's true. But like, God, why would you ever want to like make a pact with such a bitch patron?
I mean, you wouldn't know, I guess. You know, like
man, and like, oh man, it makes them like religious. Like it makes them think it depends on them, almost like it's a cult. Whoa, I've never heard of that fucking before.
Yeah.
This is so vapid.
I was hoping for more.
Yeah,
I was hoping that we would have the dragon is the warlock. Like,
yeah, so
like it was promised. But no, we're just saying no, it is the patron to the warlock, which again, I'm like, yeah, we need that, I think. Because dragons are a magical creature that would give you power for sure. At least in my mind. I understand that it's not the way that it is raw. But there's the optional rule that is in there to say, oh, dragons are spellcasters, which I like to think of, yes, that makes sense as to why they have the legendary resistances and stuff too, right? Like, but we didn't really go into that, really. We just went into albeit it's backstory that is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's not much of an interesting thing to me because I was expecting something else.
Yeah, I was expecting something a lot more creative than basically just a present, Great Old One.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, it's not even like a Great Old One. It's just a present patron. The Great Old One aspect isn't even really part of it. He just put that as the design of the dragon.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just saying that he's basically like it's a Cthulhu dragon, and it's obviously a Cthulhu ripoff, and it's got the octopus face. It's like even the artwork looks like a mythos horror. Like it's a Great Old One dragon.
Right. I get what you mean.
He can call it a patron dragon or a warlock dragon all he wants. He knows exactly what he has made.
Yeah. Well, I think it's literally just to distinguish, I guess, because he has those warden dragons. Since he's
got the other furry dragons.
Yeah, and so this one has an octopus head. You know, because the rest of them have different heads.
I guess if I was gonna do that, I would have picked literally anything other than that.
Oh, really? What would be more
because
distinguishable?
it's just. Well, okay, so he had a dog, he had a lion, he had an owl, and I don't remember the other one. Immediately, something that would have been a more appropriate one to me would have been a bear. A bear, because they often guide their cubs through their life for quite a long time. They watch over their cubs. So you have a dragon that's watching over people and, assisting them with power.
I agree that is an aspect that you could cite, but I would cite that more as a protective presence rather than a deal, like a contract kind of patron.
That's fair, but I mean, octopuses aren't exactly known for, granting power.
Yeah,
to people.
the only reason why I used it was for the great old one aesthetic, right? Because otherwise, there's no animal that fits.
Yeah,
that's
there really isn't. So he kind of wrote himself into a corner with that one.
Exactly. If he's going to tie it so strongly to the warden aspect, his warden custom warden thing, then he really in my brain, I'm like, well, it could be like any dragon could be your patron, like any of them.
Yeah.
So like
it should be.
So like why? Like, it could work the same way for every single one. It's just that they have their aspect that they are, like the owl or the whatever. It doesn't matter. It really is the function rather than the form, So, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I just think no matter what he picked, I don't, like, with the story that he chose, I don't think I would have liked anything that he picked.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the fact that he also basically just made it essentially just a Cthulhu dragon is even more vapid to me.
Yeah, it's literally just the aesthetic choice to make you go, oh, that's different,
Yeah.
I can recognize that is a weird thing, so it gives weird power. Which is like,
it doesn't do it for me.
No, I don't think it does either. I don't think it does it for me either, and I don't think it's really necessary as the figurehead for it, but I get why it was done. It's not much of a warlock. True. It's frustrating. It's clear there's effort put into his videos, but there are just huge gaps in the thought process in making the videos. Like, most of the issues would have been fixed by just having someone else watch the video and just sit on it for like a couple of days to think about it before uploading it. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So many. It seems like a lot of the people that make D&D videos write for themselves, and so many of them do not know how to write.
Yeah. It looked like a mind flayer dragon. Yes, exactly. I think that was the whole point. Anyway, those are the videos. That second one went
both very
really fast, but yeah, they're really, like, again, the only useful content is the custom stuff. That's it, because it is its own thing that can be devoid of reason as to why it was made, The reason why they were made is bad bullshit.
Yeah.
But the thing itself, you can just take out of it, right? It's like a lot of pieces of art where you can go, I interpret it this way, and the person goes, but I made it because of this, and you go, that doesn't matter to me. Yeah. It is this way.
I'm going to interpret it however you want. Get bent.
Yeah, exactly. Death of the author, as one would say.
Death of the author or murder of the author. In that circumstance.
So, like, yeah. Again, they're in the description if you want to get better, actual, like, information from those sections. They're there. Go do that. I would recommend to do that because you won't have us in your ear telling you, So, as always for any of the things that we cover, obviously, but obviously as well, I don't care about the videos or anything at the end of the day. Like, the person can make whatever he wants. I'm just going to be here to criticize the shit out of whatever he makes.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
it's fucking stupid,
I'm not going to, this isn't like, to tell you, oh, go over there and no, don't do that.
Yeah, don't. This isn't us telling you to go and flame him or troll him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
no. There's no reason for it because, again, this is vapid and pointless, kind of.
Yeah. Don't waste your brain power on it.
Exactly. Anyway, Now that we've covered our asses,
In the veneer of peace.
This hat guy will wipe you out, apparently, pretty consistently. True.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go to comments, so I will, of course, offer for you, if you would wish, if this has really gotten to you to the point that you want to go and do something else. I'm absolutely
it's fine. I'm already doing something else.
All right. Then
I've been doing something else the whole time.
I know. But anyway, okay, we'll go to comments then. So, we have a couple of weeks of comments to go back to because it's been a couple of weeks since the last time. So, these are from 187, which was the 44 rules.
Oh. Nice. That one was fun.
So, first off, we have Timothy saying, "Hello, bros. New lore." Excuse me. Oh, goodness. The Log of Alabaster, entry 17. We walked up to the packed arena for day 2. Galvin then poked me in the arm. Galvin: "Hey, guess what? I grabbed some leftover food from the party last night," showing a chunk of lobster in his pocket. Leroy: "I see that. I will pass." Galvin: "Suit yourself. Just let me know if you change your mind," winking at me. Just thinking about day-old lobster now sitting in a hot, dirty pocket made my stomach turn. I just nodded
This
back.
makes me think of that part from the fucking Filthy Frank video where he just pulls a ravioli out of his fucking shirt pocket.
I just nodded back as we walked up the stairs. I then heard Massimo say, "Can I have some lobster, please?" Ugh. We sat down a little closer up this time. Galvin: "Damn, I forgot to get a drink to wash this down." "I can help with that." Turning toward the person that spoke, we saw a man with long pink hair. I looked closer and saw dragon eyes. Leroy: "King Cornell." Cornell: "Indeed. Am I that famous?" Leroy: "Or maybe it's just the bright pink hair." Cornell: "Oh yes, this spell doesn't cover everything. This seat taken?" Leroy: "It's all yours." "If you don't mind me asking, shouldn't you be with the other fighters?" Cornell: "I don't think I will be fighting today, even if round 2 starts. And I've grown rather attached to you people. Plus, you are family, Leroy. Who else would I spend time with when my queen gets her rest?" Leroy: "Can't argue with that." Galvin: "Great to have you, pal," slapping Cornell on the back. Leroy: "Since I have you here, may I ask you a few things?" Cornell: "Ask away." Galvin: "1 minute. Did you say you could help with drinks?" Cornell: "Yes, let me get it." Pulling some bottles from his hip bag. Cornell: "Now, which one of these is the ale?" Pouring one in a small cup. What came out of said bottle was a sparkling pink fluid that seemed to glow. Galvin: "What the hell is that stuff?" Cornell: "It's a brew of my own I made back home. It's not the ale, though. It might be too strong for you." Leroy: "Can I see that?" Cornell passed the cup to me. I felt a strange energy from it. After smelling it, there was a mix of spiced ale and mint, and some unknown third thing. Cornell: "You want to know what it is, don't you? It's a magic ale that took me years to create. One can not only get drunk from it, but it's a strong healing potion, as well as an enhancer by use of a powerful spell cast upon it. Plus some mint to taste." Leroy: "Enhance in what way?" Cornell: "Everything. It makes one faster, stronger, better reflexes, and eyesight, longer lasting vitality, and best of all, no hangover the next day," he said, smiling. Seeming really proud of it. Leroy: "From the looks of it, this might be one of the most powerful healing potions in the world." Cornell: "And I'm always working on making it stronger all the time." Galvin: "The stronger the booze, the better. Can I try it?" Cornell: "Well, it would be interesting to see how non-dragons deal with it. I would like to give this to my armies at some point." Galvin: "Sweet." Gulp. Cornell: "How do you feel?" Galvin started rocking back and forth, both legs shaking. Leroy: "Hey, how many fingers am I holding?" Galvin: "Ooh, this shit is fantastic. I feel I could run 15,000 miles and my back pain from sleeping on the tavern floor is gone." Cornell: "Amazing. Can you bend this?" Pulling out a steel bar. Galvin grabbed it with both hands, twisting it easily. Galvin: "Wow, did I really just do that?" Cornell: The effect should last at least a few hours. Leroy, why do you just have a steel bar in your bag? Cornell, just in case I needed one. The dragon then took a long drink from the pink ale bottle. So, Leroy, you said you had something to ask me. Leroy, yes, I do. Why the Moon Valley Kingdom? Cornell, right to the point. I respect that. It's simple, really. If I took over a kingdom in good standing, I would be seen as a villain. That took out their beloved ruler. They would never follow me under peaceful means. But if I took a kingdom of lower standing, I would be seen as a hero, leading them to a new golden age. I spend the first few years as a king making the broken down land better. New clinics and schools, fixing rotted roads, making bigger and better farmland, and fighting off the nearby countries that had been bullying the Moon Valley for decades. I quickly earned the love and trust of my new subjects. I soon had to grow my kingdom to make room the skyrocketing birth rates, and the new people moving in from other places. And after I met Veronica 5 years ago, she helped me understand my subjects on a deeper level. Before then, I just satisfied their base needs. After I started holding weekly open-door meetings for townsfolk to give ideas or bring up problems they have, I opened my whole kingdom to beings that are looked down upon by others, such as werebeasts. She made me better. Cornell looked down. Leroy, you really love Veronica, don't you? Cornell, yes. Lifting his head, looking me right in the eye. Leroy, my sister used to go through life in a state of boredom, but when I saw her with you, the spark of joy around her was undeniable. Like she was a whole new person. I may not be close to my family, but as her brother, thank you for making her happy. Galvin, Leroy, boy, you have feelings? Leroy, not many of them, but yes. Cornell, no need for thanks. It's an honor to be part of the House of Alabaster. Leroy, what's left of it, I suppose. My siblings and I, along with my great-grandfather, are the only ones not dead or missing. At this point, it feels like a curse. Cornell, the branches of your family tree are weak and weathered indeed, and I'm afraid I might have to poison it even further if I face your brother Cyrus in the tournament. He fights on behalf of Bahamut for this contest. Under him, his power grows. In order to beat him, I might have to kill him. Leroy, true. It is not in my brother's nature to give up in a battle. But there are two sides to that coin. Are you prepared to die, Cornell? Cornell took a few minutes to answer. Cornell, there's a draconic saying. A dragon only dies when they want to. Otherwise, they are dragged kicking and screaming into the abyss. Well, that's all I got. Have a nice day. Thank you. And thank you for the lore.
I like that quote.
Yeah, it's cool. Good job.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have done my character. I guess we'll see. Always a risk. But responding to the 40 rules in character right after 2 pointy hat videos, oh boy, that's a perfect storm. Oh boy. Excitement abounds. Well, next up, we have Rico on those 44 rules, saying, with the context of this being in Australia, I'm guessing they're in a pretty sparsely populated area, and they're pretty much the only people who play. 1 or 2 initial annoyances have created a negative spiral with the players and the DM nitpicking smaller and smaller things, eventually leading to whatever the fuck this list is. Like, Jesus, guys, just find a different group, online if no one else in your area plays. Agreed. And then also on that same one, we have Ultimate Feud Enterprise saying, Prince Boo! I found you!
Oh,
Yay!
hello. Oh my god.
There you go. Hello. There you go.
Hi.
So
you did. Now what?
You did.
Now what will you do?
What do you do? And then Entropy on those 44 rules has a couple of things. Here we go. It's all 44 rules, but with your takes, it looks like. Here we go. Okay, it's Entropy this time. My empire is expanding smoothly right now, so I can spare a few moments to address you humans directly. What Viridia already told you about Tulpas goes for me too. I'm sure you can understand the honor of a Felkarai overlord's personal attention, but try to maintain your composure. Viridia wanted to check this comment over before I posted it to avoid any cultural misunderstandings, but I don't think that's necessary. The kid worries about every little thing. Anyway, change of plans. I'm covering the 44 rules instead of having Verity post the dialogue we had written out. Blame YouTube. We aren't sure our antics or the language of the rules themselves will pass the crude filter your technologies have implemented to make this work. I'm going to have to rewrite each of these rules with less of the barbaric vitriol that seems to be common among your species, judging by what Chara and Verity have both told me. This adjustment should help this comment remain visible, and also provide some improvement to the original list. I believe humans refer to this as killing two birds with one stone. It's an interesting saying, really. I knew the lives of your species were short and full of panic, but I never imagined your ancient mammalian fear of dinosaurs would drive you to such efficiency in the extermination of their descendants. That's true. Granted, it doesn't seem to have helped in the recent war of yours against the emus that Verity loves telling me about. True.
Actually, speaking of that, they actually, Aussie Man Reviews?
Yes.
They actually made a Emu War movie.
Nice.
I think it got accepted at some fucking film festival.
Hell yeah.
It's great.
That's great. Let's see. Don't feel too embarrassed about that. Flightless birds are a terrifying enemy. True. But I digress. Yeah. Let's get down to business. It's obvious that this group should have broken up long ago, but I'm doing this anyway. Rule 1. You have 1 minute to decide your actions on your turn. Right away, the DM had originally destroyed his own authority by preemptively fighting with his players instead of just stating the rule. The natural place of a ruler is to rule, and a subject is to be ruled. If you enter a contest of wills, you have already failed. Such failings are known to plague the mortal races, as the leaders scarcely outlive the rest of them, and these lessons must be learned anew by each generation. A minute is long enough, nothing wrong with this. Rule 2. Bring a second character sheet. Character death is possible. Be patient until your new character can be introduced. I don't see a problem here either. Humans would be smart to condition themselves to the responsibility of death, considering how weak and frail they are. Verity is always telling me about the myriad ways in which your kind can suddenly perish without warning. It certainly is a fascinating subject, though it surprises me that enough of you are able to survive to reproductive age to avoid the extinction of your species. Rule 3. Accusing me of unfairness will result in the session being ended. This isn't unreasonable at this point. Calling someone unfair is harsh and a bit excessive if you just don't like a ruling. I don't object to the DM putting his foot down and making it clear that he won't put up with the players perpetuating that. It is, however, the DM's responsibility to actually be fair, so they need to actually be open to criticism and disagreement over their decisions. If they're just trying to avoid that responsibility without being called out for it, their players need to leave them anyway. Originally, this rule also threatened to leave a player stranded if the DM has their transportation home. This is indefensible and simply needs to be withdrawn. True. Rule 4. Original text. I'm going to take your character's loot away as regularly as you want it given out. Rule 3 will apply here. I didn't bother rewriting the rule because there's no point. The language already seems algorithm-friendly enough as it is. Taking something out of perceived value from a person is a quick way to make an enemy. Don't do it. Just don't. Don't give out excessive amounts of loot in the first place. If you already did, just slow down for a while. Rule 5. Act out or describe your social checks. The option to describe wasn't originally given, but should have been, as a player might not feel confident that they can portray the social skills of their character. It's fair enough to at least ask for some idea of what a character is trying to do in a social situation. Automatic failure seems harsh, but if a player absolutely refuses to engage with the roleplay aspect of a role-playing game, you could resort to it. Rule 6. Noticing quest hooks is your responsibility. I have some sympathy for the original wording here, as the DM shouldn't be expected to hold the player's hand and point out all the side quests for them. Regardless, venting your frustrations at people and putting them on the defensive is no way to get them to do what you want. Never injure someone unless you destroy them so thoroughly that they can never retaliate. You'll never last as an overlord if you don't learn that lesson. That's true. Rule 7. Original text. If you move to a square in combat, there's no takebacks. I'm not sure what counts as moving to a square here. If moving your miniature itself has to be final, that's too strict. If movement only counts when you lock it in by taking an action or ending your turn, that seems reasonable. I don't know what was going on with this, but the players could have been trying to get out of their own legitimate tactical mistakes by taking their moves back, and that's something that should be prevented. True. Rule 8. Declare your actions before you roll. Cheat prevention. No conceptual problem with this rule. Yes. Rule 9. Expect more frequent exhaustion. This decision can be disputed on the field of honor. That's right, because fight me.
Yeah.
Forgot.
God damn it.
I forgot. I like the rewording.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
good.
you so much for that. This seems oddly specific. I also wasn't aware that human culture still accepted ritual combat as a way to resolve personal disputes. While this does increase my respect for your kind immensely, I do fear that this specific example would give an unfair advantage to the more physically adept players, where that doesn't otherwise seem relevant to the game being played. Felkurai mostly limit the cause of their dueling to matters of honor between warriors, or disputes of authority between military leaders. Also, you should probably clarify the rules of engagement for these contests, because the way this rule is currently written could create a problem if you ever try to give exhaustion to multiple players at once. True. Rule 10. Social interactions will have realistic consequences. This is just how it should be, in triplicate. Would have been a bit much if it were literal, but I feel like it was probably hyperbolic. Even so, that kind of chest beating will only make people want to resist you, so it doesn't need to be here. Also, this DM's ego is already starting to look a little bruised to me. Oh, starting. Rule 11. Dungeon size and complexity will be based on realism. Not much to say about this. It's what I would expect, though there seems to have been a mismatch of player expectations. True. Rule 12. I'm railroading you through my pre-written story. There's no saving this one.
Yeah.
Rule 13. Original text. If you're late with no good reason, I'm going to have your character's hit points for the entire session. Again, there's no saving this one. In-game punishments for out-of-game behaviors are best avoided if at all possible. If someone's attendance is really an issue, consider not inviting them anymore. That's all you can really do. Ultimately, I would just drop this rule and deal with each person's attendance on a case-by-case basis.
Or case by cases, if you would.
I like that. Rule 14, show up to sessions. That's all this one amounts to, but doesn't even need to be said. Taking levels or items as punishment is a bad idea again. Overall, a D&D game isn't something you should be rigid about. Sometimes a person has to attend an emergency war council or participate in some unexpected combat training or help with a bit of weapons testing. I mean, we've all been there, and those civic duties take priority. True. Rule 15, drunkenness is punishable by stoning. I had some trouble understanding this rule, so I asked Verity what being stoned meant and why it was bad. Look, I'm really trying not to disrespect your culture here, but I just feel like that's a little dark. I don't really want to talk about it, so I'll just move on. Rule 16, if players can't focus on the session, I will call it off. This makes sense to me. I can't imagine a game being very fun if it keeps getting constantly interrupted. Yeah. Rule 17. I'm going to just outright ban every spell I don't like, Lamau. Another one I can't really save. Try to think your way around magic instead of being rigid about it. Just drop this rule. Rule 18. Only one roll will be allowed for the entire party on any check. I can understand not wanting every member of the party lining up to roll every check, since that really inflates the likelihood of someone passing. I wouldn't call this an inherently bad rule, but there are other ways that you could deal with this. Still, this is within a DM's discretion, and it's not a deal breaker, so I'll leave it alone. Let's see. Rule 19. Don't discuss meta-knowledge in character. Standard expectation, really. Just refuse to accept any metagaming into canon. Again, if a Nightmare player simply refuses to cooperate with this for whatever reason, they probably aren't a fit for your group. Yes. Indeed. Need to figure out what my cat has in her mouth. Hold on. 2 seconds. Ripping up parts of my wall. Okay. Cool. Oh well. These walls are old and made of wood. It's fine. Anyway. Rule 20. I want you to turn against each other, but still do everything I say. I can't make this rule sound good, but at least I can make it honest. Of course, it could be useful to let players remind each other of the rules, while still remembering that the DM has the final say on what actually happens. But that's a different spirit from what the actual rule seems to imply. I would replace Rule 20 as it stands with what I just said. Rule 21. Roll your dice in plain view. I don't know why the DM wanted 2 other people to see the roll. I would just want to see the roll myself as the DM. If you're playing with players you don't trust, 2 other people can still lie to you.
That's true.
Very true. Automatic failure is unnecessarily harsh. Simply not accepting the result when you don't see the roll will take away the motive for hiding it. And what's this about arguing over whether the roll was legitimate? You don't have to argue. You're the DM. If you say the roll doesn't count, it doesn't count. You don't need to convince your players that it doesn't count. For such a would-be tyrant, this DM really doesn't know how to wield his legitimate authority. True.
Yeah, that's honestly true.
Very true. Rule 22, instant death mechanics will be implemented. I can take the vitriol out of this one, but it is what it is. Judging by the original wording, I'd have to call this an abuse of power. A DM's job is to make the game enjoyable for everyone, not to use his position to force whatever he wants onto the players, and it sounds like the players were against this. Yeah. Rule 23, original text. I will not give you random magical items, and vendors will not stock them. They are meant to be rare and hard to acquire. This isn't really too bad. I'd rewrite it with a more passive voice and take the unnecessary justification out. But it's pretty okay already for a low magic setting. It's not my preference, but I'm not here to argue about preferences. Rule 24, there will be no quirky random encounters. At least that's my best guess to what that rule actually meant. To be honest, I'm not sure. The original just listed 3 specific encounters, and I'm not certain what they have in common. Anyway, I guess if you really want your game to be totally serious and more realistic than reality itself, you can do that. I just hope you're not making it completely dry. Rule 25. Opinions on Reddit don't influence my rulings. That's not Reddit's game to run. It's not Reddit's game to run. So there's nothing immediately wrong about this. Though, to be honest, this DM did actually fuck things up, so he might have benefited from taking advice from some more experienced DMs. It's hard to argue with results. True. Rule 26. Other groups don't influence my rulings. Same thing I just said applies to this rule, too. Rule 27, don't use other players to voice your own opinions. To be honest, this rule sounds like it just came from pure defensiveness. I rewrote it for the filter, but there's really nothing good about it, so I just drop it completely. Rule 28, don't get sidetracked by unrelated conversations. Some amount of reason needs to apply here. During the time scheduled for a game session, you should prioritize focusing on what you're there for, and try to limit any distractions. That doesn't mean you can't talk about anything else, but don't bring the game to a halt in the process. Of course, that's assuming the whole group isn't just getting together to socialize with D&D as a backdrop. It's a different story in that case. That said, if the whole group doesn't align on that, you could have one person who came to play D&D sitting there bored and dissatisfied while everyone else chatters away. It's a bit unfortunate when everyone isn't on the same page about that. I'd probably just go back home and play video games at that point. True. Rule 29. Stop making fun of me, you guys. I don't know, that's pretty much what the rule boils down to, but when you look at the rest of the rules here, it rings a bit hollow. If you want any respect, you have to give it. This group isn't just bantering with each other, they're having an actual pissing contest. Overall, I'd agree that they need to tone it down, but the DM is part of the problem. Telling people to respect you while you're blatantly disrespecting them is not how this works. Rule 30. We will eat together at a specific time or not at all. That's right. I forgot about this one.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Christ.
I'm just trying to get this one through the filter. The way this rule was written makes it sound weird. Honestly, what I would say instead is don't bring food to the D&D table. It's fair enough if you don't want messy stuff getting close to your expensive D&D stuff. I think you could schedule a break in the middle of a long session for everyone to go eat, but you don't have to make it sound like you're leading the class to the cafeteria. Exactly.
Yeah.
Rule 31. No food or drinks near any of my D&D gear. If you wreck something, you can pay for it. Yeah, I'm running out of steam for actually rewriting these. This much is reasonable. We didn't need the backstory. Yep.
Yeah.
Rule 32. Arguments between party members outside of roleplay will be resolved by me giving the definitive ruling. A bit ambiguous, but I think this is referring to conflicts between characters that just turned into conflicts between players. If that happens, then yeah, the DM just needs to step in and settle it. True.
Yep.
Rule 33. The world I run works on internal rulings and lore I created specifically for it. That's all this rule needed to say.
Yeah.
Rule 34, original text. Every single person in this chat is having debuffs applied to their characters that should have occurred a long time ago. This will be specific to characters. I hope this makes it through the filter. It did. But it is slightly spicier than mayonnaise, so I guess we'll see. True. Anyway, I think this is a bad idea. If you let your players make their characters too powerful, that was your mistake. Now that you've let them have that power for a long time, I can only foresee it causing resentment if you take that away. In principle, it's really a lot like taking items away. True. Rule 35, you can't play without your character sheet. I'm not going to argue on this one. Maybe you should keep a copy of it of important documents online. Maybe if you make a character sheet for Delta Green, having a copy on Google Docs would have been a good way to make sure you didn't completely lose that character if your laptop got busted. Especially if you really liked that character and had invested a lot of extra work into building her up. It sure would suck if something like that were ever to happen. Rule 36. I'm sorry that happened. Rule 36. If you don't bring dice, borrow some. I'm not sure what the alternative here is here. If people weren't bringing dice and they weren't borrowing any, what were they doing? True.
Sitting around doing nothing.
Right. The other thing that I could say, obviously, as a thing to do is just use a dice roller on your phone. But then again, for this group, he would go, show me. Or have two people watch it. Sorry.
I'll roll it myself.
Yeah, exactly. Rule 37, stop being mean to me, guys. Like I said before, that's a two-way street. Rule 38, stop being mean to me or I'm kicking you out of the game. Again, demanding respect and not showing it. Rule 39, submit spell lists every day in-game. If you really don't trust your players, but you're still playing with them, then sure. Check their spell lists. I'm not going to tell you how to decide who you play with. I don't know whether this is a reasonable concern or a paranoid concern, though. Rule 40, mark off your spells when you cast them. I'll tell you what, DM. Since you're having players submit their daily spell lists to you, why don't you just copy them down for yourself, then mark those spells off on your own copy as they cast them. That way, you don't need to try to force your players to do this. Just a thought. Rule 41, if you break it, you bought it. That's fair, no problem here. Rule 42, if you don't like the music, bring your own. I don't think you understand what kind of power you have just given me. You have made a mistake, DM. Rule 43, I don't want to listen to feedback. Not much I can do with that. Rule 44, I'm a real badass, guys. Take me seriously. And that should cover all of them. I hope that group did the right thing and split up, but I'm afraid the DM still has a long road ahead of him. That's right. And thank you for the comments. And the reinterpretation of rules. They were pretty good, some of them. Alright. Then we have, on last week's, the individual wounds and alternatives to running. Timothy says, hello bros, I'm still working on lore. The video about wounds made me brainstorm new ideas for my tournament. Cool. I also think I have the final 4 confirmed, so that should be fun when it's time for that. Have a nice day.
Nice.
Thank you. And yes, I'm excited.
Dude, I have a lance of 4 assault mechs, and I have never felt so fucking powerful in my life.
Hell yeah, brother. That's awesome. And then Shin on last week's episode says, we're working on something that might get the lore flowing again, hopefully soon. In the meantime, here's an opinion I generated with my flesh brain. HP makes sense to use in a tabletop game. You don't really need to get hung up on what exactly the HP damage means, other than the character just being that much closer to not being able to keep fighting. That keeps things simple, which is ultimately an advantage for cutting down the amount of work you have to do when you're resolving attacks. I can say from experience, though, that it gets a little dodgy when you're trying to use it for a text-based RP. In that case, you are expected to always describe the action and not just abstract the damage with a number. On top of that, the big issue lies in trying not to be repetitive and in deciding what high damage means. Basically, if every minor injury amounts to a cut or a bruise, and you're dealing with characters with even moderately high HP, that's a lot of cuts and bruises to describe. Likewise, it can feel a bit wrong to pass off a huge damage roll as some kind of minor scratch, but at the same time, it's also weird for someone to take the kind of major injury you would expect there and still be able to fight just as effectively. Of course, you can play it off Yakuza style and just pretend it's normal to get back up from a brutal hit like it's nothing, but that wouldn't exactly fit if you want a more realistic tone. So that's really where a wound-based system would be more useful, especially on a play-by-post forum where replies aren't expected immediately, and you can spend more time consulting rules and tables while you write. I've wanted to work out a system like that, but never really gotten around to it, and I kind of got burnt out on those forums a long time ago. On the other hand, the delightful and ever novel pleasure of a useless occupation is pretty much the only reason I do anything, so we'll see. Thank you for the comment, Shin. Yeah, no, that's the thing with the individual wounds thing. It doesn't work as well for D&D and what it's going for. It feels like, at least in the current iteration, there's a way to make it work. Absolutely, you just got to do a lot of work to get it to work. You know.
Yeah.
But for something like you said, like with a forum kind of post thing, it makes a lot more sense, honestly. Anyway, that's comments. Wait.
Yeah. Nice.
We did it. We caught up. We're here. We did it.
Yeah.
I can bring my own music.
We survived another video.
Yes. I can bring my own music. Quick, get the death metal and K-pop playlist. True.
Oh, Jesus.
But, I wanted to show Cornell's love for Veronica. Hope it came across well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, that's it. Let me tell you about the things, and then we'll get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So, hey, would you like to support what we do? You could. If you want to, you can go over to Patreon, or you can go over to Ko-fi. And you can give us a little bit of a donation to us every month for as little as $1. And you'll get access to all of the things that table flippers get access to. And get to be here on the screen. That's crazy. Anyway.
I need to use the restroom again. I apologize.
Yeah, you're good. Big thank you to, of course, our tier 4s, that being Draco Kraken, Rick aka Unit Rico, and Steely. And thank you to Crimson Rose for the tier 2. And of course, a thank you to our tier 1 contributors. Appreciate you all. The editing streams will start hopefully this coming week, because I have things in place at least. So we shall see if it all works out. But it's also dependent on time, energy, and all of the lovely things of being a human being. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully more things to come. I was hoping that we could get a one-page rule stream in this week, but we didn't get around to it. Unfortunately, we just played on our own and with Broken. So hopefully more of that in the future, so you can see some of that. Anyway, also you can go over to TeePublic and support us this way. I actually did buy my own face on a hoodie, and it looks pretty fucking sick. So I'm happy. But you can, I also bought a mug with this new logo on it, and it looks pretty good. So, yeah. Go over on TeePublic and get whatever you want through that. That's another way to support us financially, if you wish. And going over to our website, and then going over to the Support Us tab, you can look at all the things that I've talked about, as well as will talk about in the future, as well as our custom dice that we still have a bunch of sets of that you can go and get. So, yeah, go and check it out if you wish. This is true, I actually tried to make a business account, and they didn't accept, because I didn't give them information that they liked, I guess, in the sense of making it worth their while to allow me to have a business account. So the Stripe thing is still not working, so you can't do credit cards, but it is still the PayPal thing. So that is the way that it is, unfortunately. But regardless, I might change the site that we go through with this. We'll see how it goes. There's a couple of sites that I have looking at the moment that I might change some of the designs over to. We'll see. Because innovation and hiccups to innovation are always present. So, we'll see. Anyway, last but not least, we are partnered with Humble Bundle, and you can go over in the link in our description and click it, and anything you buy through there will support us as well as Tabletop Alliance, who is also linked in the description, so you can find out about what they do with tabletop stuff to help people through their charity works with tabletop stuff. I'm dying. I can't seem to think. Anyway, go over there and get you a bundle. I actually did just buy this management material one for the Tropico and Railway stuff. It's pretty cool. The Starfinder 2nd Edition playtest primer is here. I had no idea. $40 for so much shit. Holy shit. That's awesome. You get the 1st edition, and then you'll get, oh, okay. So this is all 1st edition stuff. Okay, I see. So this is all to go into 2nd edition with, it looks like. So this is all of Starfinder 1st edition. And they are coming out with 2nd edition very soon. So that's exciting. So there's a TTRPG one for you to go and check out if you wish. There's also this immersive RPG one, it looks like. What's this? For Alchemy VTT. That could be something if you utilize that. So yeah, it's got a lot of cool stuff. It's got a lot of good stuff going into the store itself. You can get whatever you want, really. Hell, they even sell like Switch games and stuff through this site. So at least I've seen that. So yeah, go check it out with the link in our description, and you can support us and Tabletop Alliance. And of course, last but not least, if you enjoy what we do, the easiest and cheapest way that you can support us is by subscribing and liking the videos when they come out, and tuning into the live streams and leaving us comments telling us how much you like it or how much you hate it. Or you can dislike the videos and give us literally no reason as to why, and we'll see it and then just wonder forever as to why you did that and you didn't say anything. Give us criticism for our improvement. I mean, how else do you expect for it to improve if you're just going to dislike something and say, that's it. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. It seems that Boo has not gotten back yet, so I will sign off, and we will see you next week. Thank you again, and goodbye. Have a good one. Have a whole week that is good, potentially. Or don't. I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do. See ya.